Chapter 2621 Shocking Elimination Rate That's Fast. Level 20 has lit up. Level 21. At the scene, people kept exclaiming. It was obvious that there were terrifying geniuses in this group of people who were extremely fast. Half an hour later, and NBSP suddenly, the around the tower trembled, and a young serpent man appeared. There was a token floating above the young man's head, but it was dim. It was obvious that this young man had been eliminated. He had been teleported out before he could pass the 36th level. Eliminated, leave the square. The bronze-skinned man from before said. The serpent man youth's face was extremely unsightly. Sir, I was careless just now. Can you give me another chance? The serpent man youth shouted. He was truly unwilling to miss out on such an opportunity. If he could join the Qin Heaven 13 clans, he would be able to soar into the sky. Leave the square, I'll say it one last time. The bronze-skinned man said coldly, and a cold aura emanated from his body. The young serpent man shivered and didn't dare to stay any longer, quickly flying out of the square. As soon as he flew out of the square, the token above his head disappeared. Following that, people were continuously sent out from the surroundings of the giant tower. They were all eliminated. Those who had been eliminated had ugly expressions on their faces. They knew that they had lost a great opportunity. The pavilion master of Cloud Peak Pavilion and the others watched coldly. If he couldn't even pass such a selection, even if he partook 1. Aided in the Qin Heaven 13 clan's disciple recruitment test, he wouldn't have a chance of passing. He would only be a joke. As time passed, more and more people were eliminated. The young men who had not entered the tower were a little nervous. However, the light on the giant tower was also getting brighter. The 36th level. Someone has passed, said the 36th level. Someone shouted. At this moment, the 36th level was already shining. However, the person who had passed said the test had not come out yet, so it was obvious that he wanted to continue. There was no rule in the pavilion master's mind that one had to come out after passing the 36th level. One could still continue after that. The higher one went, the stronger they would be and the more valued they would be by the Cloud Peak Pavilion Master. Sure enough, not long after, the 37th level also lit up. However, after the 36th level lit up, the speed of clearing the levels after that would be much slower. Furthermore, more and more people were being teleported out. In the end, nearly 9,000 people were teleported out, all of whom had failed the trial. However, following that, there were also those who had cleared the trial and were teleported out. The tokens on their heads glowed brightly, indicating that they had said the trial. Many people looked at these people enviously. Those who had successfully said the round also revealed looks of joy. Haha, this is a disciple of my Yellow Wind sect. He has said the selection. That's a disciple of my Luyun school. He also said the test. Outside the square, some people laughed in surprise. They were all experts from the major forces. Some people were happy while others were sad. However, the challenge wasn't over yet. Half a day said before the last person was teleported out. This was a young man with a cold and arrogant expression. He had made it to the 46th level and was the first of this batch of people. He had a cold and arrogant look on his face as he scanned the surroundings, giving off the feeling of a princess. With such talent, there's a high chance that he'll be chosen by the Qin Heavenly 13 clans. It's very possible. The experts of the various forces around the square were envious. The people from the young man's force were all ecstatic. To be able to rank first out of 10,000 people, it was extremely possible that he would be chosen by the Qin Heaven 13 clans. That's because the total number of youths in the chaotic astral river who are going to partake 8 in the selection process is only 50 to 60,000. Out of the first batch of 10,000, 9,000 were eliminated, and only 1,000 or so said. The elimination rate was a total of 9 levels. Those who had not partook aided in the challenge were extremely nervous. Some of them were already sweating. However, Lu Ming, Xianxia, and the rest were very relaxed. Next batch. The Cloud Peak Pavilion Master instructed. Immediately, another 10,000 people flew into the giant tower. Among them, Lu Ming saw Kong Long, Sidu Shao, and the others. After the 10,000 people flew into the giant tower closed, and everyone waited patiently. The head of the Yuan Luo Palace, Kong Ji, and the head of the Xiaoyao sect, Sidu Haonan, looked at the tower nervously. Their eyes were filled with anticipation and anxiety. This time, after only about 20 minutes, someone was eliminated and sent out. After that, more and more people were eliminated. In the end, more than 9,000 people were eliminated. And NBSBBus. More people were teleported out. Among them were Kong Long and Sidu Shao. However, the tokens above their heads were shining. It was clear that they had said. The two of them were full of smiles and excitement. When he looked at Lu Ming, his eyes were filled with provocation. Brat, wait until I join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. It'll make you die without a burial ground. Kong Long could not help but send a message to Lu Ming. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up and he revealed a mocking expression. He then looked in another direction and ignored Kong Long. Haha. Outside of the plaza, Kong Ji and Sidu Haonan laughed loudly. They were so excited that their mouths cracked open. Especially Kong Long and Sidu Haonan. They even looked at the ancestor of technique provocatively, but the ancestor of technique ignored them. The ancestor of technique was aware of the talents of Lu Ming, Xianxia, and Xianyanjuan. Kong Long and the others were nothing. The challenge continued. Some people had not come out yet. As time passed, some people had already passed, said the 45th level and were heading towards the 46th level, closing in on the first place of the previous batch. Not long after, the 46th floor lit up, and they had already caught up with the best result of the first batch. However, it was clear that it had not stopped. The challenge was still going on. Then, the 47th, 48th, and 49th levels gradually lit up. Amazing! There's actually someone in this group who said the 49th level. Amazing! I wonder which faction he's from. There's a high chance that he'll be chosen by the Qin Heaven 13 clans. Look, it's the 50th floor. In the square, countless people were staring at the giant tower and discussing. Even the eyes of the Cloud Peak Pavilion Master lit up. Feng hasn't come out yet. Could it be that Feng is inside? At this moment, Sidu Haonan was excited. That was because his son, Sidu Feng, had not come out. The others had all come out. Could it be Sidu Feng who was challenging the tower? Thinking of this, Sidu Haonan was extremely excited. Look, it's level 51. Someone shouted. Everyone was shocked that he had already reached the 51st floor. They were all very curious about who could make it to the 51st floor. However, the 51st level was not the limit. 52, 53. A day later, the 55th level lit up. It was almost 10 levels higher than the first place of the previous batch. This was extremely shocking. At this moment, the void around the giant tower trembled and a young man's figure appeared. The token above the young man's head was shining like a sun. Chapter 26-21. Big brother. It's my big brother. Seeing this young man, Situ Shao cried out in ecstasy. This young man was Situ Feng. All the people around the square looked at Situ Feng with all kinds of emotions. Not bad. The master of Yunfeng Pavilion looked at Situ Feng with satisfaction. As the most powerful force in the chaotic astral river, the Yunfeng Pavilion has the right to recommend geniuses to take part in the Qin Heaven 13 clan's disciple recruitment test. Furthermore, she would also reward anyone who was chosen by the 13 clans. Therefore, the more geniuses there are in the chaotic astral river, the happier she is. With Situ Feng's talent, there was a high chance that he would be chosen by the Qin Heaven 13 clans. He might even be chosen by the 3 overlords. Becoming a disciple of one of the 3 overlord forces was undoubtedly a difficult task. However, once one joined, their future would be boundless. The eyes of the Cloud Peak Pavilion Master were burning with pause. Shaun. It's Feng. It's my son, Sidu Feng. It's my son. At this moment, Situ Haonan finally reacted and laughed out loud in surprise. Brother Situ, congratulations. On Kong Jis' face, he managed to squeeze out a smile and congratulated Situ Haonan. In his heart, he was extremely jealous. With Situ Feng's talent, if he joined the 13 clans and even caught the eye of some important figure, then the Footloose sect's status would rise like a boat with the tide. He was jealous in his heart, but on the surface, he still wanted to build a good relationship with Situ Haonan. Brother Situ, so that heaven's favorite is your son. Your son's talent is truly shocking. Not bad, not bad. Brother Situ, I'll treat you to a drink some other day. You must do me the honor. Brother Situ. Immediately, the leaders of the major forces around Situ Haonan greeted him with a smile. It was obvious that he was trying to curry favor with Situ Haonan. What a joke! Situ Feng's talent was too shocking, and there was a high chance that he would be taken in as a disciple by the 13 clans. If he didn't suck up to Situ Haonan now, when else could he wait? Haha, everyone. You are too polite, right now. Might not be chosen by the Qin Heaven 13 clans. It's not certain yet. Situ Haonan laughed out loud. Although he said that Situ Feng might not be chosen by the 13 clans, his expression was extremely excited, as if he could already see Situ Feng being chosen by the 13 clans or even taken as a disciple by some big shot. His heart was at ease. This Situ Feng actually has such amazing talent. In the crowd, the ancestor of technique was also shocked. He had heard of Situ Feng's name before. It was rumored that Situ Feng was a martial arts fanatic who was obsessed with cultivation. He didn't expect Situ Feng to be so talented. However, at the thought of Lu Ming, he was relieved. No matter how talented he was, he could not be compared to Lu Ming. Lu Ming controlled the path of domination. Once he became AG, he would turn into the divine energy of domination. That was divine-grade divine energy. Even in the vast Qin Heaven Star domain, there were probably not many who could control divine-grade divine power. This batch of people, in general, was about the same as the first batch. About 90% of them were eliminated, and only about 1,000 people passed, said the trial. 2 from the Yuanluo Palace and 3 from the Walkabout sect had passed, said. Lu Ming's expression was calm and he was unmoved. The second batch is over. The third batch go in. The pavilion master of the Cloud Peak Pavilion ordered again. Let's go in. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing and the rest. All right. Xian Yanqing and the others nodded, then rose into the air and flew into the giant tower. As soon as Lu Ming flew into the giant tower, the surrounding environment changed immediately. He appeared in a vast secret room. There was no one else around him except him. This was within Lu Ming's expectations. This giant tower was obviously set up with a large formation. As long as one entered, they would most likely be alone and not with others. A token appeared above Lu Ming's head. And NBSP at this moment, the secret room began to light up and several figures appeared. These figures were all puppets condensed by the formation and they charged toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and swept it across, shattering the puppets one by one. The first level, set. There was a staircase in the secret room. Lu Ming climbed up the stairs and arrived at the second floor. Sure enough, another puppet was formed. It was stronger than the first level, but it was not difficult for Lu Ming. With a sweep of his spear, the puppet crumbled and Lu Ming ascended to the third level. In this way, Lu Ming advanced all the way with an irresistible force. Third level, fourth level, fifth level. Very soon, Lu Ming reached the 30th level. At this point, the puppet's strength was already quite strong. However, to Lu Ming it was still not difficult. At most, his speed would be slightly reduced. Bush. The long spear trembled and rays of spear radiance shot out. The puppets exploded one after another. Lu Ming stepped onto the 31st level. Then, it was the 32nd and 33rd levels. Very quickly, Lu Ming reached the 36th level. After he had defeated all the puppets on the 36th level, the token above his head began to glow. This meant that Lu Ming had passed, said the test. Enough. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not continue. Instead, he walked toward a door of light at the side. Lu Ming did not plan to continue. It was enough. As long as he passed, said the test, there was no need to attract too much attention. His goal was to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. Right now, it was just a screening. It would be fine as long as he could pass. Lu Ming stepped into the light door and was teleported out of the light door. He was outside the giant tower. After Lu Ming came out, a few gazes immediately swept toward him. That included Kong Long, Sidu Shao, Kong Ji, and the others. He was transported out so early, and the brightness of the token is not even as bright as mine. He probably just said through level 36. Kong Long sneered. That's right. I thought he had a lot of talent, but he's just SOSO. Situ Shao also sneered. Kong Ji and Sidu Haonan were also discussing. I didn't expect this kid from the righteous army to succeed in clearing the trial. However, the brightness of the token is ordinary. There's almost no hope of him joining the Qin Heaven 13 clans. Kong Ji sneered and deliberately raised his voice for the ancestor of technique to hear. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. He could not be bothered. He was very clear about Lu Ming's talent. If he had given it his all, he would not have come out so early. It was obvious that Lu Ming did not want to be too ostentatious. It was fine as long as he could pass the test. Lu Ming did not attract any attention. Not long after Lu Ming came out, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Dandan came out one after another. Naturally, they had successfully cleared the level. However, the brightness of the token was similar to Lu Ming's. Obviously, their thoughts were similar to Lu Ming's. It was enough to just pass the test. After some time, Tong Shi also appeared. Tong Shi had also said. The brightness of her token was much brighter than Lu Ming and the rest. She had said more than 40 levels. Chapter 2622 Envoy. After a period of time, Lu Ming's group of people had also finished challenging the levels. However, there was no one as amazing as Situ Feng in this group. The highest level they had said was the 45th floor, which was the same as the highest level of the first group. Then it was the 4th and 5th batch. There were also top heaven's favorites in the next two groups, but only one person said the 50th floor. No one could surpass Situ Feng. This made Situ Feng the center of attention, and he became the number one person among the younger generation of the chaotic astral river. As for Sidu Haonan and the Walkabout sect, they were naturally the subject of much flattery. A group of leaders surrounded Sidu Haonan to curry favor with him, and his face was filled with smiles. My son, Sidu Feng, is such a genius. My Footloose sect will definitely rise. Once my son joins the Qin Heaven 13 clans, the righteous heaven army will be destroyed with a flip of his hand. Sidu Haonan thought to himself, and his eyes turned cold. After the 5th batch, the selection process had ended. Those who said were in high spirits, and those who didn't were listless. High up in the sky, the pavilion master waved her hand, and the giant pag shrank. She then put it away. All right, this round selection has ended. A total of 5,050 people have said the selection. At this point, the pavilion master paused for a moment and continued, however, this is only the screening I set. Don't think that just because you said it, you can take part in the 13 clans recruitment test. You still need to the test of the envoys from the 13 clans. Only if the envoys think you will you truly this. Do you understand? Many people's hearts tightened. It turned out that they still needed to the test of the 13 clans. Otherwise, they wouldn't be considered qualified and might not be able to take part in the test. All right, all of you go back first. Come back here 3 days later. At that time, the messenger will descend and personally examine all of you. The pavilion master then turned around and left. In the square, the crowd also dispersed one by one. After Lu Ming and the rest returned to the inn, they waited quietly. 3 days said by in the blink of an eye. 3 days later, they returned to the square again. The square was still surrounded by people. However, only Lu Ming and the rest who had successfully cleared the level last time could enter the square. Soon, all 5,060 people had gathered. "They're here." Someone suddenly spoke. Everyone's eyes looked in one direction. There were a few people walking in the air from that direction. One of them was the Yunfeng Pavilion Master. However, the Cloud Peak Pavilion Master was not walking in front. Instead, he was walking behind an elder in a brocade robe with a smile on his face. The elder in the brocade robe was tall and still, and he stood with his hands behind his back. He exuded a majestic aura that gave off a powerful pressure. An expert. This elder was definitely an extremely terrifying expert. He was even stronger than the pavilion master of Yunfeng Pavilion. Without a doubt, he was a heavenly GE. Everyone did not need to guess to know that this was the envoy sent by the Qin Heaven's 13 factions. Emissary Lin, these are the heaven's favorites that my chaotic astral river has selected. The Cloud Peak Pavilion Master stood in the air and introduced the old man to the old man with a smile. In front of such a person, even if she was the Cloud Peak Pavilion Master, she did not dare to be careless. The elder in the brocade robe swept his gaze across Lu Ming's group of 5,060 people. He frowned slightly and said, "This is your chaotic astral river's heaven's pride? You're really too weak." The contempt in his words was self-evident. Too weak? Many people's hearts tightened. This was still too weak? These 5,060 people could be said to be the strongest group of people in the younger generation of the chaotic astral river. However, in the eyes of the brocade-robed old man, they were too weak. Some of the young heaven's favorites were very confident. Now that they were being looked down upon, they felt a little indignant. With such a standard, he still wants to partake. 1. P. 8 in the Qin Tian 13 clans test. Isn't that a little laughable? The brocade-robed old man added. This time, even the Cloud Peak Pavilion Master was embarrassed. His face turned red. "Alright, I'll cut to the chase. If you really want to partake, 1. P. 8 in the Qin Heavenly 13 clans disciple recruitment test, you'll have to pass me." With that, the elder in the brocade robe waved his hand, and a stone door flew out. As soon as the stone door flew out, it grew in the wind and became 1,000 feet tall. With a loud bang, it landed on the square. "As long as you can pass through this door, you'll be considered to have pass," said my test. "That's why it'll be difficult for you to partake." 1. P. 8 in the Qin Heaven's 13 clans disciple recruitment test. The brocade-robed elder said. It was that simple? Many people were stunned. As long as he could pass through this door, he would be able to pass the assessment of the elder in brocade. It definitely wasn't simple. Then many people thought this way. Their eyes flickered and many thoughts flashed through their minds. "Who's first?" the brocade-robed elder asked. However, for a moment, no one stepped forward. Everyone had the same thought. They didn't understand the assessment of this door and wanted to wait for others to step forward and get a feel for it. The crowd looked at each other. No one is going forward. The brocade-robed old man asked with a hint of displeasure in his eyes. "I'll do it." At this moment, Lu Ming spoke and stepped forward. It didn't matter if he went early or late, so he might as well go earlier. Moreover, Lu Ming was very confident. He was confident that he could pass it. If he could not pass it, then probably no one else in the entire chaotic astral river could. Lu Ming stepped out and came to the stone door. Everyone's eyes were fixed on him. It's this kid. He actually dares to be the first to go on stage. How stupid. I hope he doesn't pass this. Outside the square, Kong Ji sneered. This brat is really stupid to scout for others. In the square, Kong Long sneered. Bang, bang. Lu Ming did not stop. He walked at a constant speed and stepped into the stone door. Buzz. Just as Lu Ming stepped through the stone door, the door glowed and runes appeared. Then, a few beams of crimson divine light shot towards Lu Ming at lightning speed. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. Lu Ming made his move. His palm was like a knife, continuously slashing out and destroying the rainbow lights. It was easy and there was no difficulty at all. That's when the elder in the brocade robe saw Lu Ming's attack, his eyes widened in shock and confusion. What kind of power is that? It's somewhat like the legendary path of a master, but how is it possible in a mere chaotic astral river? The brocade-robed elder muttered. The reason why he did not recognize Lu Ming's Tao of domination was that Lu Ming had found a way to change the Tao of domination, such as its color. Now that Lu Ming was using the Tao of domination, the color was dark purple, which was not so obvious. As long as Lu Ming did not unleash his full power, it would not be fully revealed. Lu Ming continued to step forward. The stone door shone brightly, and more light burst out, bombarding Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming casually waved his palm and shattered all the divine light. It's very simple. Lu Ming smiled and took another step forward. This time, more divine lights came, but they were all easily destroyed by Lu Ming. After this attack, there were no more attacks. Lu Ming crossed the stone door easily. Chapter 2624. Very simple? Pass. The brocade-robed old man's voice rang out, and at the same time, many thoughts ran through his mind. This person is unique. I must pay close attention to him. Although he was not very sure that Lu Ming had mastered the path of domination, the path of domination was no small matter. If it was true, it would be terrible. He's passed. Nest, it's actually so simple. I thought it would be difficult. It seems like it's even easier than the tower challenge. It seems like the Pavilion Master's test is even more rigorous. That's right. If that kid can pass, he'll definitely pass. Seeing that Lu Ming had passed the test easily, many people relaxed and smiled. They all thought that the test set by the elder in brocade was very simple. Who's next? The elder in the brocade robe said. He'll do it. He'll do it. Immediately, hundreds of people shouted and rushed toward the stone gate. Since the assessment was so simple, he had to go up earlier to show off. One by one. The elder in the brocade robe said coldly, and a powerful aura pressed down, making the hundreds of young men stop. You first. The elder in brocade pointed at a handsome young man. He'll go first. The young man laughed and rushed towards the stone door, as if he was going to rush through it in one breath. Buzz. After he stepped through the stone door immediately lit up. A few rays of divine light danced out and blasted towards the young man. The young man looked relaxed. Divine power burst forth and he waved his palm. He wanted to learn from Lu Ming and destroy the divine light with ease. However, the young man's expression changed as soon as he came into contact with the divine light. His face was full of disbelief, and then he screamed miserably as his body flew backward and fell heavily on the ground. He spat out a large mouthful of blood and his body twitched non-stop. What? Many people were stunned. How could this young man be sent flying without even being able to withstand the first attack? Just now, when Lu Ming passed the test, it was clearly very easy. What was going on? Many people were dumbfounded. The young man who had been sent flying struggled to get up and swallowed a healing pill to stabilize his injuries. Failure, next. The elder in the brocade robe said coldly. Wait a moment, senior, wait a moment. The young man who had failed shouted. What's the matter? The brocade-robed elder said. Senior, it's not fair. I don't think it's fair. When that kid passed through the stone door, the attack wasn't that strong. Why did it become so strong when I passed through? The young man cried out, feeling wronged. He could clearly see that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the transformation void martial stage while he was at the second level of the void god stage. There was no reason why Lu Ming could pass while he could not. Impudent! You dare to doubt the envoy? The Cloud Peak Pavilion Master shouted coldly. The young man immediately broke out in a cold sweat. It's fine. The elder in the brocade robe raised his hand to stop the Cloud Peak Pavilion Master. Then he glanced at the crowd and said, Let me tell you, my test is absolutely fair. However, I can also tell you that the attack of this stone door will be different according to the person who enters. The stone door will be adjusted according to the person's age, the level of divine power, and so on. Only those with higher overall talent can pass through. Ordinary people will not be able to pass through. Do you understand? Also, the Qin Heavenly 13 clans never look at your cultivation level when recruiting disciples. Because, to the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, cultivation level has no meaning. Even if you are a heavenly deity, to the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, it wouldn't be of much use. The Qin Heaven 13 clans take in disciples based on talent and potential. The voice of the elder in the brocade robe sounded in everyone's ears. Indeed, to the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, the difference in cultivation didn't mean much. In their eyes, there was no difference between a first-level Void God realm and a ninth-level Void God realm. What they wanted was talent and potential. However, the handsome young man still looked unwilling. On what basis could a transformation Void Martial Stage person pass while he, who was at the second level of the Void God realm, couldn't? It seems like you're still unwilling to give up. However, do you really think that you can defeat him just because your cultivation is higher than his? The brocade-robed elder said indifferently. Of course I can defeat him. I only need 3 moves, no, I only need 1 move to suppress him. The handsome young man shouted and looked at Lu Ming indignantly. Oh, since that's the case, I'll let you have a battle and make you admit your defeat. Little fellow, are you willing to fight? The elder in the brocade robe looked at Lu Ming. No problem. Lu Ming smiled and walked to the handsome young man. Kid, I'll suppress you with 1 move and let everyone know who's qualified to take part in the 13 clans' disciple recruitment test. The handsome young man said arrogantly. A cold look flashed in his eyes. Then, he rushed out and made a move with all his strength. A huge palm print fell on Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's expression was calm. He stood there without moving as if he did not see the other party's attack. When the palm force of the other party was close, Lu Ming pointed with his finger. The finger force was like a spear ray, directly penetrating the opponent's palm print and shooting into the opponent's shoulder. The handsome young man let out a blood-curdling screech as his shoulder was pierced through. The powerful force sent him flying to the edge of the square, and he fell heavily on the ground, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. The scene suddenly became quiet. 1 move, just 1 move, Lu Ming defeated the handsome young man. Just like when he passed through the stone door, he did so easily. What a powerful genius! Many people were shocked. Lu Ming was only at the transformation Void Martial stage, but he was able to defeat a second-level Void God realm expert. It was truly unbelievable. After Lu Ming pointed with his finger, he turned around and walked back. He was only a second-level virtual god who could control ordinary divine power. To Lu Ming, he was not challenging at all. What a powerful divine power! If he breaks through to the martial god realm, even if it's not divine-grade divine power, it'll be king-grade divine power. I didn't expect that the chaotic astral river would actually have such a powerful heaven's favorite. The elder's eyes brightened. Kong Long, Sidu Shao, and the rest snorted coldly. They were very displeased to see Lu Ming in the limelight. Sidu Feng, on the other hand, looked calm. No one could tell what he was thinking. Do you see this? My stone door is absolutely fair. The assessment will continue. A loss is a loss, and a win is a win. If anyone has any more doubts, they will be disqualified immediately. The brocade-robed elder announced in an overbearing manner. Earlier on, he had agreed to the handsome young man's challenge mainly because he wanted to see Lu Ming fight. Otherwise, if the handsome young man dared to doubt him, he would have long been chased away. The test continued. Another young man stepped forward, but he also failed and was sent flying out of the stone door. Chapter 26-25 Myriad Spirit Planet. As the number of people taking the test increased, the crowd was shocked to find that the difficulty of the test in the stone door was shockingly high. The elimination rate was shockingly high. Out of 10 people, only 1 person could pass. At this moment, everyone understood that they had completely underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming could pass through easily not because the difficulty of the stone door was low, but because he was talented and powerful. Situ Feng has made his move. Someone suddenly spoke. Situ Feng walked toward the stone door calmly. A combat sword appeared in his hand, and sword light burst forth. Every time he stabbed, it would hit nothing. It didn't collide with the divine light from the stone door, but the divine light would dissipate one by one. Sidu Feng also pass, said the test easily. Good comprehension. The elder in the brocade robe nodded slightly. After Sidu Feng, it was Kong Long, Sidu Shao, and the others. Kong Long and Sidu Shao both controlled king-grade divine power. Although it was not easy, they still pass, said. However, the other two from the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect had failed. This way, only 3 people from the Yuan Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect pass, said the test. Soon, Dandan, Xianxia, Xianxia, Tong Shi, and the others also stepped forward. As the divine turtle of the world, Dandan also had amazing potential after becoming AG. She had also mastered king-grade divine power and pass, said the assessment. Xianxia and Xianxia loosened their grip, which made the old man's eyes light up again. Following that, Tong Shi also pass, said the test, but the rest of the righteous army had all failed. In this way, the righteous army, Lu Ming and the rest, a total of 5 people pass, said. This made Kong Ji, Sidu Haonan and the rest's expressions turn ugly. The stone gate assessment continued for a few days. Finally, all 5,060 people had been tested. 500 people. In the end, only 500 people pass, said the test of the stone door. The others all failed. The success rate was shockingly low. In the entire chaotic astral river, there were close to 1,000 powers and 50,000 to 60,000 young heavens pride experts. In the end, only 500 people pass, said the test. A 1 in 100 chance. Alright, my test is over. The 500 of you can head to the Qin Heaven Star System's myriad spirit planet to take part in the Qin Heaven 13 Clans test. Take this jade token. With that, the elder in the brocade robe waved his hand and 500 jade tokens flew out, flying toward Lu Ming and the others. They stretched out their hands and with the help of the jade token, each of them got one. The jade token felt warm and heavy in his hand. There were lines of tiny runes on it, and it looked very beautiful. On one side of the jade token, there was a picture of ruins. The picture of the ruins on this jade plate is the symbol of the chaotic astral river. Different galaxies have different pictures and symbols. The brocade-robed elder said. Many people smile bitterly. Indeed, in the eyes of many powerful and wealthy galaxies, the chaotic astral river is nothing but a wasteland. Now, use your own blood to engrave your names on the jade tokens. This jade token will then be bound to you. Only you can use it. Even if others take it, they won't be able to use it. This is the proof that you will be able to partake. 1. 8 in the Qin Tian 13 Clans. Assessment. The brocade-robed elder said. Lu Ming forced out a drop of blood and wrote the 2 words, Lu Ming, on the jade tablet. After he was done, the blood seeped into the jade token and disappeared. The jade token was completely bound to Lu Ming's aura. Other than Lu Ming, no one else could use it. This was to prevent anyone from taking action against the partic. Hing their jade tokens and impersonating them. In this way, even if he's had the jade token, it would be of no use. Alright, the Qin Heaven 13 Clans test will be held on planet Myriad Spirit in 3 months. You can make your way there in 3 months. However, I can tell you in advance that don't think that you can join the Qin Tian 13 High School just because you pass, said my test. It's extremely difficult to join the Qin Tian 13 Clans. It's already not bad if 20 of you can join the Qin Tian 13 Clans. The elder in the brocade robe turned around and left with the pavilion master and the others. It's already not bad to have 20 people join? Many people's hearts trembled, and their expressions turned grave. Everyone had their own thoughts as they left the place. Let's go back to the Jingtian army. They'll make some arrangements and take you to planet Thousand Spirits. The ancestor of technique said. After that, everyone returned to True Heaven Star through the teleportation formation. Lu Ming returned to his residence and explained the matter to his parents. He also bade his parents farewell. If he were to join a sect on planet Myriad Spirit, He probably wouldn't be back for a while. The ancestor of technique had also settled the matters of the righteous army. Then he set off with Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Xiangxiang and Ouyang Moli remained on True Sky Star. However, Bubbles kept pestering Lu Ming and wanted to follow him. Lu Ming brought Bubbles along. Lu Ming, Xianxia, Xianxia, Dandan, Bubbles, Tong Shi, and the ancestor of technique. A total of 7 people headed towards Planet Thousand Spirits. Myriad Spirit Star was located at the center of Qin Heaven's galaxy. It was at least a few dozen galaxies away from the chaotic astral river. It was simply too far away. Even if they took the teleportation formation, it would take a long time. They first arrived at Cloud Peak City and took the super long-distance teleportation array in Cloud Peak City to be teleported to the next galaxy. And NBSP afterward, they used super long-distance teleportation arrays to travel at a faster speed, but the divine crystals they used up were also astonishing. He couldn't just build a teleportation formation for nothing. Every time he built a teleportation formation, he would have to use up divine crystals. Even so, it still took them nearly 2 months to get to Planet Thousand Spirits. There was less than a month left before the 3-month deadline. What a dense divine chi! Standing on Planet Thousand Spirits, he took a deep breath and felt the divine chi rush into his body. He felt very comfortable. The training environment here is much better than the chaotic astral river. The difference is huge. Myriad Spirit Star was located in the center of the Qin Heaven Star Zone. It was the biggest trading planet in the Qin Heaven Star Zone. This planet didn't belong to any single power. Countless powers, big and small, were doing business here, and it was extremely prosperous. The Qin Heavenly 13 Clans recruitment test had always been held on Myriad Spirit Planet. The location was the largest city on Planet Thousand Spirits City. After Lu Ming and the group arrived at Wanling City, they found an inn to stay in. As time passed, more and more people arrived in Wanling City. On the streets, one could easily see groups of young sovereigns. Some of them had extremely terrifying auras. At a glance, they seemed to be extremely powerful monsters. The Qin Heaven Star region had a total of several hundred galaxies. The chaotic astral river was the worst and the one that no one paid attention to. Any of the other galaxies are more prosperous and powerful than the chaotic astral river. The number of Heaven's Pride experts in the other galaxies is also far beyond the chaotic astral river. In the chaotic astral river, only 500 people have said the test and can take part in the exam. However, in the other galaxies, even the worst would still have thousands of people who could take the assessment. The higher ones had thousands or even tens of thousands of people. Chapter 26:26. Assessment rules. Every 1,000 years, the Qin Heaven 13 clans would recruit disciples. It was a grand event in the hearts of countless geniuses in the Qin Heaven Star region. It was also the day when countless geniuses would soar to the sky. Soon, there were only 3 days left before the 8th assessment. On this day, the sound of bells rang throughout the city. Let's go. It's a gathering order from the Qin Heaven 13 clans. It's time to announce the rules of the 8th assessment. The ancestor of technique said. He led Lu Ming and the rest in the direction of the bell. In the middle of Wanling City, there was a vast open seat. It was originally a huge market, but during this period of time, the market was removed and used for the assessment. This open SPC was too big. It would not be a problem to accommodate hundreds of millions of people at the same time. Very quickly, this open SPC was already filled with people. Not only were there young Heaven's Pride experts who wanted to take part in the assessment, but there were also many people who wanted to watch the fun. In fact, there were more people who came to watch the show than those who partook. 1 P aided in the assessment. Buzz. At this time, a few figures suddenly appeared in the sky, and the scene quieted down. There are 3 more days before the examination. Now, I'll explain the details of the examination and the rules. In the sky, an imposing man spoke. The scene was silent. Everyone listened quietly, afraid to miss any details. Each of you should have an ident. 1. Tie jade token to partic. 1. P. 8 in the examination. The middle-aged man took out a jade card. It was almost the same as the one Lu Ming and the rest had. The only difference was the pattern on it. 3 days from now, when the time for the test is up, as long as you are within Wanling City, no matter where you are, this jade token will bring you to a virtual S. We call it the Dream S. In the Dream S. Everything is virtual. Only your consciousness can enter it. Furthermore, your cultivation will be suppressed to first level Void G. D realm in the Dream S. If you're already at the first level of the Void G. D realm, then it won't change. If you're not at the first level of the Void G. D realm, it won't change either. However, although your cultivation has been suppressed to first level Void G. D realm, the attributes of your divine power will not change. If you control King Grade Divine Power, it will still be King Grade Divine Power inside. If you control Sacred Grade Divine Power, it will still be Sacred Grade Divine Power. There are 2 rounds in the test. In the first round, the Dream Realm will be divided into 20 areas. All the partic. 1. P. Ants will be evenly divided into 20 areas and fight. However, there's one thing that you can rest assured about. Before you enter the 20 regions to fight, you will enter a special region. There are many incomplete divine skills there. These incomplete divine skills can be cultivated to the point where they can burst out with power even if you are at the first level of the Void G. D realm. From now on, you will have a year to comprehend the incomplete divine skill. Then, you will enter the 20 regions and fight to determine the ranking. This time, we've calculated that the entire Qin galaxy, hundreds of galaxies, has a total of about 1 million people partic. 1. P. Aiding in the assessment. At that time, each region will have 50,000 people. 50,000 people will kill each other. The rule is that every time you kill an opponent, you will get 1 point. At the same time, you will take half of the opponent's points. Each person has 2 lives, which is 2 chances. In the end, only the top 100 of each region can partic. 1. Eat in the next round. Those who don't make it into the top 100 will be eliminated. The middle-aged man explained all of the rules in one breath. After he was done, he stopped and allowed everyone to digest them. I see. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he made a conclusion in his heart. His assessment this time was very simple. It was divided into 2 rounds. There would be around 1 million people partic. 1. P. Aiding. The jade card would bring them into the Dream S. If they were killed in there, they wouldn't really die. Their cultivation would be suppressed to first level ethereal G. D realm. Of course, for people like Lu Ming who were below first level virtual G. D level, they could only keep it as it was. Then, they would have a year to comprehend the incomplete divine skill, and the 1 million or so people would enter 20 regions. Each region would have 50,000 or so people, and the 50,000 or so people would fight each other to obtain points. Only the top 100 people would be able to enter the next round. Furthermore, each person had 2 chances. This was also for the sake of fairness. It would be a bit of a waste if some geniuses were killed by a powerful enemy from the beginning. There are actually over 1 million people partic. 1. P. Aiding. Lu Ming was also secretly shocked. After a while, when everyone had digested the information, the middle-aged man continued. Those who are eliminated in the first round might have a chance to join the Qin Tian 13 clans. As long as you perform well and obtain higher points, you will have a chance to be selected by the 13 clans. Of course, the better you perform, the more attention you'll receive. Alright, let's get to the point. The specific rules will be shown on your jade tokens. Take a good look at it. Do you have any questions? After the middle-aged man finished speaking, he swept his gaze across the entire scene. Senior, I have a question. At this moment, a young man spoke. Speak. The middle-aged man said, Senior, why did you suppress your cultivation to the first level of the void G? Oh, D realm. If I cultivate to the sixth level of the void G, oh, D realm, won't I be unable to unleash my full power? The young man said, Sixth level of the void G, oh, D realm? Do you think you're a genius? The middle-aged man asked. The young man didn't say anything, but his expression clearly showed that he agreed. Cultivation will never represent one's talent. I can tell you that within the Qin Heaven 13 clans, there are plenty of people who have reached the sixth level of the void G, oh, D realm within 10,000 years of cultivation. You can find them all over the streets. There are many true body realm experts who have cultivated for less than 10,000 years. Some of them have even reached the heavenly G, oh, D realm. What is a ninth level void G, oh, D realm expert like you? Would the Qin Heavenly 13 clans lack a sixth level void G, oh, D realm expert? As long as the Qin Heavenly 13 clans give the order, how many sixth level void G, oh, D realm existences can the Qin Heavenly star system gather? The middle-aged man's repeated questions made the young man speechless. There are many ways to increase one's cultivation. There are heavenly treasures, fortuitous encounters, or long periods of cultivation. Therefore, cultivation is of no use to the Qin Heaven 13 clans. When the Qin Heaven 13 clans recruit disciples, they look at talent, potential, and cultivation. There are plenty of ways to raise it. It'll suppress all of your cultivation to the first level of the void G, oh, D realm and give you 1 year to test your talent and comprehension. Only those with high talent and comprehension can join the Qin Heavenly 13 clans. Do you understand? The middle-aged man said. The young man's face turned red, but he didn't say anything. He came from a big force and had consumed countless natural treasures to reach his current cultivation level. However, in the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, would there be a lack of natural treasures? Chapter 26-27 Entering the Dream S.P. See, many people also revealed thoughtful expressions. Indeed, one's talent and comprehension could only be seen under such an assessment mechanism. In the martial G, O, D realm, talent and comprehension were the most important. That was why they kept their divine power levels and gave them a year to comprehend the incomplete divine skill before they started fighting. This way, those with high Shen power and high comprehension would be able to stand out. Mastering high-level divine power was a talent. However, one's perception was also very important. This was because the level of Shen power was not innate, but could be cultivated. Some terrifying and exquisite divine skills could cultivate king-grade divine power, sacred-grade divine power, and even divine-grade divine power. Within the Qin Heaven's 13 clans, there were all such terrifying divine techniques. As long as one cultivated it to an extremely high level, one would be able to cultivate a high-level divine power. It was said that when the 3 overlord forces, divine techniques, were cultivated to the highest level, they could cultivate divine-grade divine power. Thus, if a person's Shen power level was not high but his comprehension was amazing, his future would be limitless. Of course, there were some people who did not cultivate these divine skills and naturally cultivated high-level Shen power, and there were many of them. Lu Ming, Tong Shi, and the others were all like this. Of the disciples that the Qin Heavenly 13 clans wanted to recruit, one had to have a high level of divine power, while the other had to have extraordinary comprehension. Also, let me tell you all, some of you came from some major powers and might have already cultivated some incomplete divine skills. However, in the Dream S.P. CE, you are not allowed to use the incomplete divine skills that you have already cultivated. You can only use the incomplete divine skills that you have comprehended in the Dream S.P. CE. Once you violate this rule, you will be eliminated. The Qin Heavenly 13 clans will never recruit you again. Do you understand? The middle-aged man's voice reverberated throughout the entire area. Understood. Many people shouted. Alright, I'll stop here. Good luck. Then, the middle-aged man and the others turned around and left. After the middle-aged man and the rest left, The rest of the people in the square also slowly dispersed. Lu Ming and the rest also returned to their lodgings. Not long after he returned to his residence, a large amount of information appeared on the jade token. It was all about the assessment and some rules. Lu Ming and the rest looked at it carefully again and then made preparations actively. There were only 3 days left before the assessment began. Not only them, but everyone else was actively preparing for it. A group of people stood in a huge courtyard. They were all tall and burly, as if they were made of metal. These people were a branch of the King Kong race, a terrifying race in the primeval universe. The Vajra race was a very powerful race in the primeval universe. It ranked in the top 10,000 among the countless races in the primeval universe. There was a list of 10,000 races in the primeval universe, which listed the 10,000 most powerful races in the primeval universe. The Diamond race was one of them. However, the main clan of the King Kong race wasn't in the Qin Heaven Star domain. The Qin Heaven Star domain was only a branch. At this moment, dozens of Vajra race members were surrounding a young Vajra race member like stars surrounding the moon. This young Vajra race man was even more burly and was 3 meters tall. Golden Sage, you're a rare genius that only appears once every 100,000 years in the Qin Tian branch of the King Kong race. This time, you must rank in the top 3 in the Qin Tian 13 clans assessment and join one of the 3 overlords. An elderly King Kong ordered. Don't worry, clan leader. It's just the top 3. I'm 100% confident, the Golden Sage said with a confident smile. On a mountain in Wanling City, this place had been bought by a group of Tigermen. The Tigermen tribe was only a small tribe in the entire primeval universe. They were far from being ranked in the top 10,000. However, in the Qin Heaven Star Zone, the Tigermen tribe's strength could not be underestimated. At the peak of the mountain, a young Tigerman roared towards the sky. The wind and clouds surged, and his aura was wild. This time, the top 3, no, I'm aiming for the first place. The young Tigerman's eyes were like lightning, and he was filled with the aura of a king. To the north of Wanling City, there was a lake. It was not big, but it was very clean. It was like a mirror, and one could clearly see the fish in the lake. There was a simple pavilion by the lake. At this moment, there were 2 figures in the pavilion, looking at the calm lake. One of them was a white-haired old man in a long white robe. He looked like a sage. The other person was a young man who looked to be in his 20s. This young man was handsome and was also wearing a white robe, like an elegant young master. Are you confident about this time's Qin Tian 13 clan examination? The old man asked the young man. The young man was called Ling Huyi. According to the rules this time, I'm 100% confident that the first place will be mine, Ling Huyi said. His face was calm, without any pride, as if he was just stating a fact. With your talent, as long as you give it your all, the first place will definitely be yours. Moreover, you'll definitely be able to enter the 3 overlord forces and even receive special training. The white-haired old man stroked his beard and looked at Ling Huyi with satisfaction. If they did not enter the dream sphere and fought outside, Ling Huyi would not have such an advantage. However, the rules this time gave him 1 year to comprehend and cultivate an incomplete divine skill, which was Ling Huyi's biggest advantage. Ling Huyi's comprehension was the strongest that the old man had seen in countless years. Although Ling Huyi's divine power level was not high, it was because he lacked opportunities and divine skills. However, Ling Huyi's terrifying comprehension could make up for it. And NBSP the old man was filled with antic. 1. Ation. As long as Ling Huyi joined the 3 overlord forces and was nurtured, he would definitely be able to reach a terrifying realm. In the blink of an eye, 3 days pass. Said. On this day, Lu Ming, Xianxia, Xianjuan, and Tong Shi were gathered in a room. They sat cross-legged in a circle. There was no need to go to a specific place to partake. 1 feet in the assessment. As long as they were in Wanling City, the ident. 1. Tai Jade card would bring them into the dream S. Buzz. Buzz. Ooh. At that moment, the jade tokens in Lu Ming, Xianxia and the others' hands trembled slightly. They emitted a bright light and floated above their heads. Then, a beam of light fell from the jade token and enveloped them. Then, Lu Ming and the rest felt that their spirits and souls had been drawn out and flew into the jade card. It was pitch black in front of them. Almost instantly, their eyes lit up as they opened their eyes. When they opened their eyes, they found that they were on a huge platform, and in front of the platform was a stone tablet. Countless stone tablets stood on the vast land. Each stone tablet was 100 meters tall, and there were some words and pictures carved on each stone tablet. There were too many steals. There was no end to them. Is the incomplete divine skill on this stone tablet? Lu Ming's heart stirred. They were going to stay here for a year to comprehend and cultivate the incomplete divine skill. Chapter 2628 Tiger Tribe's Provocation. At this moment, Lu Ming noticed that a badge had appeared on their chests. On the badge was a picture of a ruin that was made of jade. This was their symbol. People who came from different galaxies all had a badge with a different pattern on their chest. There's no change in my cultivation. Then, Lu Ming carefully sensed his body and realized that his cultivation level had not changed at all. He was still a 7-star celestial emperor, and the power of domination was surging. Of course, their weapons and storage rings could not be brought in. In reality, weapons were not allowed in this compet. 1. Time. If one wanted to use a weapon, they would have to use divine power and rely on their own abilities. Is your cultivation base being suppressed? Lu Ming looked at Xianxia, Xianxia, Tong Shi, and Dandan. I've been suppressed to the first level of the Void D realm, but my divine power level hasn't changed. Xianxia said. Me too. Tong Shi also nodded. There's no change in mine. Dandan said. His cultivation was at the first level of the Void D realm, so there was no change. Lu Ming nodded. It was indeed the same as what the rules said. At this moment, on the platform, many people flashed and rushed toward the stone tablets. Time was limited. They only had a year's time. A year's time to comprehend an incomplete divine skill was too short. They had to seize the time to find an incomplete divine skill that was suitable for them and cultivate it. With every moment he cultivated, he might be able to reach a higher level of maturity. When he fought with others, he would have an advantage. Millions of people rushed into the vast stone tablets, looking for a divine skill that suited them. Lu Ming and the rest also rushed down the platform and headed for the stone tablet. Soon, they arrived at the first huge stone tablet. At this moment, 2 young men were already looking at the stone tablet carefully. On the stone tablet, there were lines of words and pictures. This was a palm technique that leaned towards the feminine side. Lu Ming and the rest took a few glances and then directly ignored it. It was not suitable. They continued forward. As they walked, they attracted the attention of many people. The 2 sisters, Xianxia and Xianxia, were simply too beautiful when they walked together. The 2 of them looked exactly the same, and it was hard not to attract attention. What beautiful women, and they look exactly the same. Look at their badges, they are from the chaotic astral river. I never thought that there would be such a beautiful woman in the chaotic astral river. Who is that person? He's actually walking together with such a beautiful woman. Many people around them were discussing as they looked at Xianxia and Xianxia with fiery eyes. Tong Shi could be considered a stunning beauty, but when she stood next to Xianxia and Xianxia, she paled in comparison. Ever since Xianxia and Xianxia broke through to the battle D realm, their temperament had become more and more extraordinary. Even people with similar looks could not compare to them. When many people looked at Lu Ming, they were filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. Although Dandan was still following Lu Ming, she looked like a 16 or 17-year-old teenager and was wearing a Daoist robe. Naturally, she was ignored by the others. Xianxia and Xianxia's faces were cold. They ignored the gazes of others and focused on finding a suitable divine skill. What beautiful women! Not far away, A dozen burly figures were looking at Xianxia and Xianxia with fiery eyes. These dozen over people were all elites of the tiger clan. The tiger men did not have the appearance of a tiger from head to toe. They looked very similar to humans, but they had stripes on their faces. They were tiger stripes. Each of them was more than 2 meters tall and had thick hair. How can I miss such a beauty? Let's go and get to know her. One of the tigermen youths with golden fur laughed and walked towards Lu Ming and the others. The other dozen or so tigermen youths laughed and followed. Their figures flickered and more than 10 tigermen youths blocked Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the rest also stopped. The dozen or so young men from the tiger tribe scanned Xianxia, Xianxia, and Tong Shi with burning eyes. Chaotic astral river? I didn't expect that there would be such a beauty in the chaotic astral river. We are the heaven's pride of the tiger clan. My name is Humao. Beautiful lady, how about we be friends? The golden-furred tiger-men youth revealed a confident smile. Lu Ming, Dandan, and the rest almost burst out laughing. Tiger fur? This name was quite profound. However, Xianxia didn't want to laugh. With a cold expression, she scolded, "Get lost. You have a strong temper." However, my tiger clan likes people with strong tempers the most. Brothers, don't you? Humao didn't mind and teased him instead. Not bad, the fiercer the temper, the better. It's fun to play with. Haha. The other young tigermen laughed. At the side, the other people looked over with an expression of watching a show. I already told you to get lost, didn't you hear me? Are you deaf or what? Get lost immediately. At this moment, Lu Ming berated. The smile on the tiger youth's face instantly disappeared, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Kid, what did you say? A mere piece of trash from the chaotic astral river dares to speak to us like this? Are you tired of living? They'll give you 3 seconds to get lost. Get as far away as you can. What right do you have to stand next to 2 beautiful women? The dozen or so young men of the tiger tribe all roared as their bodies flashed with cold killing intent. 3, 2, 1. Lu Ming said disdainfully, counting the time for Xianxia. 3 seconds later, Lu Ming stepped forward and held Xianxia's hand. He said in disdain, "A bunch of idiots." Provocation, disdain, and mockery. This was a blatant mockery. Killing intent exploded from the bodies of the tigermen youths. Kid, kneel down and admit your mistake. Slap yourself 100 times. Otherwise, it'll make you die without a burial place. The tiger was furious and revealed its uneven fangs. Oh, if you have the ability, then do it. Lu Ming said in disdain. You, Humao and the other young men of the tiger tribe glared at Lu Ming with wide eyes. However, they did not dare to make a move. The assessment had not started yet. During this 1 year of comprehending and cultivating the incomplete divine skill, no one was allowed to make a move. Whoever made a move would be disqualified. If not for that, Humao and the rest would have long torn Lu Ming into pieces. Kid, you've got guts. Just you wait. Don't meet anyone from my tiger tribe in the assessment 1 year from now. Otherwise, you'll die a terrible death. Humao spoke coldly before turning to the other tigermen. Brothers, go and inform the other clan members. If they meet this person in the assessment, kill him without mercy. Kill him ruthlessly. All right, there are so many people in my tiger tribe. He's dead for sure. Hell, die a terrible death. The other tigermen all called out. Chapter 2629 Comprehending an Incomplete Divine Skill, A Bunch of Idiots. Little Qing, let's go. Lu Ming pulled Xianxia, Tong Shi, and Dandan directly past, sing by the Tigerman tribe and heading deep into the forest of stone steels. The dozen or so tiger tribe youths nearly exploded in anger, and they gritted their teeth so hard that they made cracking sounds. This brat is too impulsive. He actually dared to offend the heaven's favorite of the tigermen race. I reckon that in the chaotic astral river, he's a peak-grade heaven's pride expert and is used to being arrogant. However, in a mere chaotic astral river, he's a tyrant. In the entire Qin Tian star field, he's nothing. That's right. The Tigerman tribe is a large tribe in the Qin Heaven Star domain. There are hundreds of star rivers in the Qin Heaven Star domain, and the Tigermen tribe occupies one of them. They are extremely powerful. I heard that there are thousands of Tigermen tribe geniuses partic. 1. P. Aiding in the 13 clans. Assessment this time. That's right, there are indeed thousands of people. Even if they are divided into 20 regions, there will definitely be a large number of people from the Tiger tribe in each region. I also heard that there is a peerless genius in the Tiger tribe who can control sacred grade divine power. That kid will die a miserable death. It's not wise to show off your power in front of a beauty. The surrounding people who had seen this scene were in a heated discussion. These voices naturally reached Lu Ming's ears. However, Lu Ming only smiled faintly and did not take it to heart. At that time, when he was divided into 20 areas to fight, he would be more than happy if the Tigermen tribe came to find trouble with him. Giving him points, what was there to be unhappy about? Lu Ming and the rest wandered around the stone tablets, looking at each of them. Not long after, Xianxia stopped in front of a stone tablet. There was a sword technique carved on the stone tablet, and with just a glance, it seemed as if a holy sword light was bursting out. It's a pretty good sword technique. I'll choose this one, Xianxia said. Then, he stood under the stele and began to read it carefully. Lu Ming and the rest continued to search. This forest of stone steles was extremely large and contained a vast number of incomplete divine skills. An incomplete offensive divine skill, an incomplete defensive divine skill, an incomplete movement divine skill. It had everything. After more than a day, Dandan and Tong Shi had found suitable incomplete divine skills and started to cultivate them. They'll practice this sword technique. Xianxia walked to a stone tablet. This stone tablet also recorded a sword technique. The sword technique was sharp and fierce, and demonic chi soared into the sky. Both Xianxia and Xianxia were good at swordsmanship, so they each chose one. Lu Ming was left alone. He continued to wander around. Lu Ming realized that most of the people had chosen the incomplete attack-type divine skills. That's right, even if it was an incomplete divine skill, the difficulty of cultivating it would definitely be extremely shocking. They only had 1 year, so they naturally had to choose to cultivate attack-type divine skills to increase their attack power so that they could kill their opponents as soon as possible in the assessment a year later and obtain points. Lu Ming wandered around for a long time. This one. Lu Ming came to a stone tablet. This stone tablet recorded an incomplete spear technique. Moreover, there was no one under the stone tablet. Lu Ming simply chose this. Immediately, Lu Ming began to read it carefully. This spear technique didn't have a name. In fact, all the incomplete divine skills here didn't have names. They were all evolved from complete divine skills by some experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans. To the experts at the peak of ethereal D realm and above, it had no practical use. Those experts could already cultivate the complete divine technique. However, it was still very useful for the cultivation of experts below the peak of the void D realm. What an exquisite divine skill! After studying it, Lu Ming felt emotional. Shen skills were the exquisite use of Shen power. They were powerful and very exquisite. It was much more difficult to comprehend than the various techniques in the heaven realm. The incomplete divine skill before him had a total of 7 stages. However, it was extremely difficult to cultivate the first stage. Lu Ming abandoned all distracting thoughts and focused on his comprehension. This comprehension lasted for a month. In a month's time, Lu Ming had not even learned the basics. Lu Ming condensed a long spear with his dominator's power. The long spear vibrated at a strange frequency, sometimes whipping and sometimes stabbing forward. The spear's radiance flickered. However, Lu Ming stopped halfway through his cultivation. No, it's still not right. Once the spear technique is successfully cultivated, each spear strike can trigger layers of force. The force will be superimposed and the power will be infinite. There will also be many different changes, but I still can't find that feeling. The divine power is circulating incorrectly. Many thoughts ran through Lu Ming's mind as he summarized what he had learned from his previous cultivation. Half a day later, Lu Ming started to comprehend again. The difficulty of cultivating an incomplete divine skill was too high. Even with Lu Ming's comprehension and talent, it was already so difficult to comprehend it. One could imagine the difficulty for the others. Time flew by, and another month passed. Said. Buzz. The long spear in Lu Ming's hand swept out and a terrifying roar burst out in the air. It rang 3 times and then disappeared. Success! I finally stepped into the first stage. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. After more than 2 months of hard work, Lu Ming had finally cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the first level. At the first level, a single strike of the spear would have 3 levels of power exploding out in an instant. The power was extremely shocking. At the same time, there were 3 changes contained within, making it difficult to grasp and guard against. If one cultivated it to the second level, one spear could have 5 levels of power and 5 changes. The higher the level of cultivation, the stronger the power. Continue. Lu Ming continued to study. After cultivating to the first stage, the difficulty of cultivation became even greater. For any divine skill, the later it was, the more difficult it would be. If even the initial stage was so difficult, one could imagine how difficult it would be later on. Lu Ming was focused on his cultivation and did not care about the outside world. Half a year later, Lu Ming finally broke through to the second level of this spear technique. At this point, Lu Ming and the rest had been here for 8 months. There were still 4 months to go before the assessment began. 4 months passed, said in the blink of an eye. The 1-year period was up. Unfortunately, Lu Ming's spear technique was still stuck at the second level and had not reached the third level. Buzz, buzz, buzz. All of a sudden, a buzzing sound rang out in the sky. In the sky, a series of symbols appeared, and they were extremely colorful. It's about to start. It's finally starting. Many people were whispering. Some people were nervous, but some people revealed looks of antic. 1. Asian. Suddenly, pillars of light appeared in the sky and enveloped everyone. Then, everyone flew into the sky along the pillars of light and disappeared. The next moment, Lu Ming realized that he had appeared in a room. This place. Is this the area for the assessment? Lu Ming muttered. This assessment would be divided into 20 different areas. More than 1 million people would enter 20 different areas and fight. As for which region they would enter, it was completely random. Chapter 2630 battle begins at this moment. In Wanling City, the market where the news was announced a year ago was already full of people. Countless people had gathered here. At this moment, 20 huge screens appeared in the sky above the openest seat. On these 20 huge screens, there were names. On each screen, there were more than 50,000 names. All of them were the names of the partic. Behind each name, there was a corresponding galaxy. For example, Lu Ming's name appeared in the 20th zone. Behind the name, it was marked with the words, Chaotic Astral River. Xianxia was in the 1st region, while Xianxia was in the 3rd region. Tong Shi was in the 10th region, and Dandan was in the 18th region. Quick, find out which district Kong Long is in. Also, Feng Xiao is in that area. In the crowd, Kong Ji, Sidu Haonan and the others started to search. With their eyesight, they could naturally see 1,000 things with a single glance. Their speed was amazing, and it didn't take long for them to find the area where Kong Long, Sidu Xiao, Sidu Feng and the others were. This time, over 1,000 people had come to the chaotic astral river under the leadership of the master of the Yunfeng Pavilion. They had all come to watch the battle. The ancestor of technique was also among them, not far from Kong Long and the others. They weren't the only ones. People from the other galaxies were also looking for the heavens' favorites from their own factions. At the moment, the names appeared randomly, but once the fight started, the names would be arranged according to the score. The one with the highest score would be in first place until the end of the 3 months. The top 100 geniuses in each region would be the victors, and the others would be eliminated. They only looked at the points, not whether they were killed. As long as you had enough points to rank in the top 100, you could advance even if you were killed. It's starting, the 6th region. Wuxia has points, so fast, already 3 points. Someone shouted. In the beginning, each of them only had 1 point. 1 point for each person they killed. In other words, Wuxia had already killed 3 people. In the other areas, the Golden Sage is not any slower. The killing has started. Many people have ACCU, Mulat points. The names on the 20 screens kept flashing. Some names would appear in the first, second, or even higher positions. The corresponding points would also appear behind the names. There were more than 1 million names flashing nonstop. Only the experts present could see them clearly. If it were an ordinary person, they would have been dazzled with a single glance. The 20th region. Lu Ming opened the door and walked out. Did I just appear in a city? Lu Ming guessed that he was now in a courtyard. He could see other tall buildings in other places. Wait, we can't fly in this area. Lu Ming was about to soar into the sky to observe the situation when he suddenly felt that his body was as heavy as a mountain. He could not fly at all. Flying was prohibited in this area. Boom. Suddenly, a violent roar came from a tall building not far away. The building rumbled and the walls exploded. Lu Ming saw 2 figures engaged in a fierce battle. The 2 of them had similar combat strength. In the intense battle, it was difficult to determine the winner. Bang! At this moment, the door of the courtyard that Lu Ming was in was blasted open. Broken wood flew in all directions and a tall and burly figure walked in. The person glanced at the badge on Lu Ming's chest and revealed a sinister sneer. A piece of trash from the chaotic astral river just happened to become the first person I killed and my first point. Bang! Bang! The man stepped forward and condensed a saber with his divine power, slashing it at Lu Ming. This was an incomplete divine skill that he had cultivated. The blade light was extremely fast and filled with a brutal aura. Lu Ming's face was calm. He condensed a long spear with the power of the ruler in his hand and thrust it out. The spear was as fast as lightning, and in the blink of an eye, 5 changes occurred. The other party wanted to block it, but for a moment, he did not know how to block it. Puchi. Lu Ming's long spear pierced through the area between the opponent's eyebrows. The other party's eyes were wide open, and his face was full of disbelief. Initially, he had wanted to kill Lu Ming and let him be the first point he had obtained. He did not expect to die in Lu Ming's hands in 1 move. How could a person from the chaotic astral river be so powerful? I'm sorry, but what you said is exactly what I wanted to say. It's your honor to contribute your first point to me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Then, he shook the long spear and the other party's body was torn into pieces, turning into energy and dissipating. Of course, there were 2 chances this time. The other party could still resurrect in other places and continue to fight. If he died a second time, he would have no more chances. The points would be the same. After killing 1 person, the badge on Lu Ming's chest suddenly glowed with a faint light. A message appeared in Lu Ming's mind. Lu Ming, 20th region. From the chaotic astral river. 1 point. Ranking, 28560. So this badge has this use. Lu Ming smiled. This way, he would be able to know his ranking at all times. 3 months is enough. Lu Ming smiled and walked out of the courtyard. After walking out of the courtyard, they arrived at a wide street. On both sides of the street, there were all kinds of buildings. At this moment, the outcome of the battle had already been decided. One of them was killed, but the other was injured. He didn't dare to stay any longer and fled in the dark. Buzz. Lu Ming's figure moved and he rushed up to a house. Then he started to run around the room. It was very dangerous to do so. It was easy to be targeted by others. However, Lu Ming did this on purpose. Instead of looking for those people one by one, it was better to let others find him. As expected, someone made a move. From one of the buildings, a figure pounced on Lu Ming like an arrow. At the same time, a sharp sword light stabbed at Lu Ming's forehead. Good. Lu Ming fired a shot with his backhand. Clang. The long spear hit the sword light of the other party. The other party's body shook violently and was thrown back. Blood spurted out of his mouth and his eyes were full of disbelief. He could clearly sense that Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the transformation void martial stage and had not reached the void G.O.D. stage. As for him, although his cultivation base was suppressed here, he was still at first level void G.O.D. realm. However, he was sent flying by Lu Ming and suffered serious injuries in an instant. Kill! Lu Ming stomped his feet heavily and his figure shot out. At the same time, a sharp spear gleam pierced through the void and killed the other party in the air. He was killed easily. Lu Ming's expression did not change. The divine power that the other party controlled was just ordinary divine power. Although Lu Ming's cultivation level was not as high as the other party's, the other party was suppressed to first level virtual G.O.D. level, so he could easily kill him. This was under the premise that he could not use the battle formula. If he could use the battle formula, Lu Ming's abilities would be even more shocking. Chapter 2631 Chaotic Slaughter. In this place, only one's own divine power and the incomplete divine skills that one had comprehended before could be used. Of course, one's own combat skills and combat awareness could also be used. He couldn't even use the battle formula. In the outside world, the battle character formula played a huge part in Lu Ming's ability to cross so many realms and kill his enemies. Even if he did not trigger the doubling of combat strength, casting the battle formula would greatly increase Lu Ming's combat strength. Now that he could not use the battle formula, it would have a huge impact on Lu Ming's combat strength. However, Lu Ming had the ruler's power, so he was not afraid of any opponent. After killing the other party, Lu Ming's points increased by 1 point and became 2 points. His ranking also rose by a few thousand places and he was now at 24897. This was just the beginning. Every point difference could make a huge difference, because many people only killed one person and obtained 1 point. Later on, when everyone's points increased, the number of points they gained would slow down their ranking. Lu Ming continued to run on the roofs to attract others. To be honest, Lu Ming's cultivation and his chaotic astral river badge could really lower one's guard. When the others saw that he came from the chaotic astral river and was at the void transformation stage, they immediately treated Lu Ming as a free point. How could they hold back? They all attacked. In fact, there was even a prodigy with king-grade divine power who attacked Lu Ming, but he was killed by Lu Ming one by one and turned into Lu Ming's points. In terms of divine power, these people were not as strong as Lu Ming. Furthermore, their incomplete divine skills were only at the first stage, while Lu Ming's incomplete divine skill had already been cultivated to the second stage. How could they be Lu Ming's match? Lu Ming's points rose to 23 points very quickly. His ranking also soared to more than 2,600. He was getting closer and closer to the top 100. Thousand Spirit City. That's fast. Lu Ming's speed of improvement in the 20th zone is so fast. It's indeed shocking. He's already in the 2000s. It hasn't been long, but if he continues to improve like this, he has a chance of getting into the top 100 in the 20th region. I remember that Lu Ming should be from the righteous army. Some people in the chaotic astral river exclaimed. Then, many people looked at the ancestor of technique with envious expressions. Even the Yunfeng Pavilion Master looked at his patriarch in surprise. However, the ancestor of technique's expression was calm. In his heart, Lu Ming was definitely going to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. If those who controlled the ruler's power could not join, who else could? This is just the beginning. Don't be happy too early. That's right. This compet 1 time will last for 3 months. If we keep such a high profile now, our points will be reduced by half if we are killed. As long as he could find a place and comprehend it properly, he would be able to make a breakthrough. As long as his incomplete divine skill reached the 3rd level, his strength would increase greatly, and he would be able to kill his opponents faster. Lu Ming's eyes scanned the area and he rushed towards a small alley. The city that Lu Ming was in was extremely huge. Although Lu Ming had covered a large area over the past few days, he had only been active in a small area of the city. After making his way through a few small alleys, Lu Ming arrived at a remote courtyard. He entered the courtyard and closed the door. Lu Ming condensed a long spear with his dominator's power and began to cultivate. Bush, bush, bush. The long spear was constantly brandished and thrust out. Lu Ming fumbled and analyzed carefully. His understanding of this spear technique was getting deeper and deeper. Killing. It was not only the 20th area where Lu Ming was fighting intensely. The other areas were also fighting non-stop. Some people were directly teleported out after being killed twice. In the sky above Wang Lin City, the rankings on the 20 screens were constantly changing and flashing. However, gradually, a few names became more and more eye-catching, even firmly occupying the first place in different regions. Like the tiger teeth of the tiger men, the golden sage of the King Kong race, Yang Chong, Ling Huyi. These few names had occupied the first place in their respective regions not long after the compet. 1. Tian started, and they had not changed since. Huya is a heaven's favorite of the Tigerman tribe that only appears once in 100,000 years. It's said that once he became a martial G.O.D., he mastered the divine grade divine power. He's extremely powerful. This time he's very likely to be in the top 3. The golden saint of the King Kong race isn't bad either. He also controls divine grade divine power. And that Yang Chong is also a genius who can control the sacred grade divine power. Sacred grade divine power. He's truly a peerless genius. Many people were discussing and sighing. In the Qin Heaven Star system, most of the living beings could only control ordinary divine power after breaking through to the martial G.O.D. realm. Only an extremely small number of people could control king grade divine power. Such people were already considered pretty good geniuses. As for Palm Force sacred grade divine power, there was very little of it. There were not many in the entire Qin Tian starfield. Although the level of divine power could be cultivated through some divine techniques, those divine techniques were extremely rare and the difficulty of cultivating them was also extremely shocking. Without exceptional comprehension and talent, it was very difficult to gain anything. Chapter 2632 Breakthrough. One had to know that within the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, there were divine techniques that could cultivate divine grade divine power or even divine grade divine power. However, over the long years, only a few of them were able to do so. Who is that Ling Huyi? I've never heard of this before. Indeed, I've never heard of it either. He might be a new genius. However, he is definitely not on the same level as Golden Sage, Huya, and Yang Chong. That's right. The crowd looked at the ranking on the screen and discussed. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been cultivating the incomplete divine skill in seclusion for 1.5 months. Half of the 3-month period had said. For 1.5 months, Lu Ming had been focused on comprehending the incomplete divine skill and did not go out to hunt. Naturally, his ranking dropped rapidly. That Lu Ming can't do it anymore. His points have not changed for 1.5 months and his ranking has dropped to more than 5,300. I knew it. He definitely can't make it into the top 100. That's right. Previously, he was just lucky. I think he encountered some weaklings, which was why he managed to obtain some points. As time passes, the weaklings will be eliminated, and those who remain will be the strong. He must be looking for an opportunity to hide and not dare to make a move. Weaklings are weaklings. They definitely won't be able to enter the top 100. Kong Ji and Sidu Haonan both looked at the ancestor of technique and mocked him. Look, Feng has entered the top 100, and his ranking is still rising. He's 9281. Suddenly, Sidu Haonan's eyes lit up. Because at this moment, Sidu Feng's ranking in the 9th region had suddenly skyrocketed. Originally, Sidu Feng's ranking had been outside of the 100th place, but it had suddenly soared all the way to the 72nd place before it stopped. I knew it. With Feng Er's talent, he would definitely be able to enter the top 100. As expected, he must have killed an expert just now and obtained a large number of points. Sidu Haonan laughed out loud in excitement. The pavilion master of Yunfeng Pavilion nodded his head. Sidu Feng had far Serpa. Yes, said the others in the tower challenge test, and she had high hopes for him. Look, Xian Yanqing is in the top 100. Xian Yanjuan is in the top 100 too. Suddenly, an old man beside the pavilion master of the Cloud Peak Pavilion shouted. The crowd looked over and saw that Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had indeed made it into the top 100. The galaxy behind their names was naturally the chaotic astral river. Which force do these two belong to? He didn't show off before, but he actually made it into the top 100. Someone was puzzled. I remember that they were two beautiful women. They were sisters and seemed to be from the righteous army. From the righteous army? However, the three of them did not act rashly because Lu Ming was too calm. He was so calm even when facing the three of them, which made them feel a little guilty. You didn't run when you saw us. You're very confident. One of the young men said. You're here to give me points, why should I escape? Lu Ming asked. Give you free points? Hee, you're really confident. I'm just afraid you don't have the ability. The other youth said. His divine power surged and a combat sword formed. Make your move. It'll give you the chance to make your move. Lu Ming said calmly. Arrogant. Let's kill him together. A young man coldly shouted. In an instant, the three young men moved. 3 attacks were aimed at Lu Ming. It's not weak. It seems that after more than a month of fighting, those who can be left behind have some skills. As soon as the 3 of them attacked, Lu Ming could tell that the 3 young men were not weak. Although the divine power that the 3 of them controlled was only ordinary divine power, they had a deep understanding of the incomplete divine skill. They had reached the limit of the first stage and were not far from the second stage. However, compared to Lu Ming, he was still far from having such abilities. Bush. Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air and a long spear was formed. He then thrust it out. The 3 spear lights were aimed at the 3 young men. Each spear ray had 7 variations, making it impossible to guard against. When the spear radiance disappeared, a hole had appeared between the 3 young men's eyebrows. So powerful! This was the last thought of the 3 young men. Then, with a bang, their bodies turned into energy and dissipated. My points have actually increased by 236 points. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. Originally, he had 88 points. However, after killing the 3 young men, his points suddenly became 324 points, an increase of 236 points. As expected, those who can stay until the end are all experts. Each of them has a lot of points. That's great. Lu Ming laughed. His figure flashed and he went to look for his next opponent. Not long after, Lu Ming discovered another young genius hiding in a house. Lu Ming attacked directly and killed the person in an instant. His points had become 367, and he was now in the top 2,000. Chapter 2633 Experts, Distribution 1000 Spirit City. Look, Lu Ming's ranking has risen. He's rising so quickly. His score has also soared. He's already at 367 points. Also, his ranking has already charged into the top 2,000. He's starting to exert his strength. He must have been delayed by something. I've risen again. I'm now more than 400 points. I'm ranked 1378. Some people from the chaotic astral river suddenly cried out. After all, Lu Ming had made it into the top 100 before and then stopped. However, many people in the chaotic astral river were still paying attention to Lu Ming. At that moment, Lu Ming's ranking suddenly soared and these people immediately cried out. Kong Ji and Sidu Haonan also looked over. The moment they saw it, they both let out a cold humph and their expressions were extremely unhappy. It's only 1,000 or so. There's still a long way to go before the top 100. That's right. The further we go, the more experts will be left behind. Without Feng Er's talent, we'll be killed sooner or later, and our ranking will drop drastically. Kang Ji and Sidu Haonan said unhappily. However, the moment Sidu Haonan finished speaking, his expression changed drastically. Because in a certain area, Situ Xiao's ranking had suddenly dropped. Originally, Situ Xiao had already made it to the 300th place in that area. However, at this moment, his ranking had dropped drastically, falling to the 500th place. There could only be one reason for him to drop so many ranks all of a sudden. He had been killed, and his points had been halved. That was why he had dropped so badly. Haha, Sidu Haonan, did you just say your son, Sidu Xiao? You're right. I have to say, you really have a jinx's mouth. The ancestor of technique laughed heartily. He was extremely carefree. Sidu Haonan's chest heaved up and down, and he almost vomited blood. Just now, he had mocked Lu Ming and Sidu Xiao was immediately killed. It matched his words too well. It was as if he was deliberately slapping his face. This coincidence made the other forces, leaders on the side, couldn't help but laugh out loud. Even Kang Jilian's body was twitching as he tried his best not to laugh. Sidu Haonan's lips trembled in anger. The Cloud Peak Pavilion Master looked on coldly. In the chaotic astral river, there are close to 1,000 major and minor powers. It's normal for them to fight and kill each other. She was also happy to see such a situation. Only when the other powers were killing each other would her Yunfeng Pavilion be able to sit firmly as the overlord of the chaotic astral river. He has risen again. Lu Ming's ranking has risen again. He's so fast. The other party was overjoyed. He cupped his fists and turned to leave, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming did not kill the other party. The other party's strength was average, and he would not have many points. Even if he killed him, he would not gain many points. I don't know where these top experts are. It seems like I can only try my luck. Lu Ming muttered. Then he randomly chose a direction and left. Not long after, Lu Ming came to a wide street alone. Buzz, buzz, buzz. All of a sudden, a group of people surrounded Lu Ming in a flash. There were more than 20 of them. Ah, it's you, kid. What a coincidence, what a coincidence. Now let's see how you die. One of them burst out laughing the moment he saw Lu Ming. What a coincidence. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. It was actually the Tiger Men. Moreover, the person who laughed just now was actually Hu Mao, the one who had declared that he would let all the Tiger clan kill Lu Ming. Kid, it seems like the heavens want you to touch me. Now kneel down and lick my shoes, and I'll consider letting you die a quick death. Hu Mao extended a leg and said coldly. The other Tiger Men glared at Lu Ming coldly. It seems that you have quite a lot of points on you. Then your points are mine. Lu Ming could not be bothered with the tiger's fur and spoke indifferently. What? Hu Mao and the others were stunned, thinking that they had heard wrong. What did Lu Ming say? They wanted to steal their points? Is he crazy? A mere piece of trash from the chaotic astral river actually wants to take their points. If he's not crazy, what is he? It seems that this brat is not only stupid but also blindly arrogant. How sad. Since that's the case, I'll let him die miserably and let him know the consequences of offending my Tigerman race. Hu Mao said sinisterly. Leave it to me. One of the Tiger clan's young men made a move. He waved his large hand and grabbed Lu Ming. In his opinion, Lu Ming was merely at the transformation void martial stage. Moreover, he came from a small place like the chaotic astral river. What kind of combat strength could he have? He could easily suppress Lu Ming with a flip of his hand. Chapter 2634 Ranking soars. Just as the tiger youth's palm was about to hit Lu Ming, Lu Ming's fingers were like a long spear, pointing out. A ray of spear light burst forth. It was extremely bright and fast. The body of the young man from the tiger tribe suddenly froze in midair. This was because the hihi between his eyebrows had been pierced by Lu Ming's spear gleam and he had died on the spot. Bang. Then, the body of the tiger youth exploded with a bang and dissipated into energy. Hu Mao and the others were all shocked. This was completely beyond their expectations. A mere transformation void martial artist from the chaotic astral river had actually killed a Heaven's Pride expert of the Tiger Clan with a single move. After the shock, it was anger. "Brat, you dare to kill the people of my Tiger Clan? You're courting death." The tiger roared. "You talk too much nonsense," Lu Ming said coldly. He clenched his fist and a long spear was formed. Whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath and attacked directly. In an instant, a few terrifying spear lights burst out and killed the few Tiger Clan youths. "Attack, attack together. I want him to suffer a fate worse than death." The tiger roared. Roar. The young men of the Tiger Clan roared like tigers, and their divine power condensed into all kinds of weapons that charged at Lu Ming. "Good." Lu Ming let out a long howl and the long spear trembled. 7 changes appeared instantly and the spear's radiance was thrust out. Each of the spear's radiance contained 7 levels of power. These Tigermen youths could not withstand it at all. Boom. Some of them were pierced through the glabella by the spear radiance, while others were swept by the long spear and directly split open. The 20 or so Tigermen youths were like babies in Lu Ming's hands. They could not even withstand a single blow. Not all of these people controlled ordinary divine power. There were a few who controlled king-grade divine power. It was a pity that his understanding of the incomplete divine skill was so that it could not even withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. The Tigermen tribe had many experts. Other than peerless geniuses like Huya, there were also some other top experts. For example, Tiger Bone, one of the top 3 masters in the Dongqing area, was one of them. If Lu Ming stayed here, he might collide with the Tiger Bones. In the next few days, the Tigermen tribe did not appear. On the other hand, Lu Ming's cultivation attracted the attention of some other experts who wanted to kill him. However, they were all killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's ranking had increased a little. He was close to the 200th place. For 9 consecutive days, Lu Ming had attracted more than 10 young men and they all died at his hands. Lu Ming's reputation spread like this. In the Dongqing area district, everyone placed Lu Ming on the same level as the other 3 top experts. The news of Lu Ming's battle with the Tigermen tribe spread and attracted many people to watch. There were many young experts hiding in the hidden corners of some buildings in the area. They were looking at Lu Ming from afar. They were waiting for an opportunity. If Lu Ming really fought with the Tigermen tribe and both sides were injured, they would have a chance. A person like Lu Ming must have a shocking number of points. If they could kill Lu Ming, their points would skyrocket. Many people had this thought and hid in the dark. On the 11th day, Lu Ming was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the street, meditating on the incomplete divine skill with his eyes closed. At that moment, he suddenly opened his eyes. In front of him, a figure was leaping from house to house at an astonishing speed. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Lu Ming. Buzz, buzz, buzz. With a flash, more than 30 young men from the Tiger tribe appeared on the street in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming could see at a glance that one of them was Hu Mao. At that moment, Hu Mao was looking at Lu Ming with a face full of hatred. "Tiger Bone, it's him. It's this B.E.A.T. D who killed more than 20 of our tiger men and even threatened to wait here." The tiger pointed at Lu Ming and roared. Bang! In front of the tiger fur, a young man with an especially burly figure stepped out. This person was one of the top 3 experts in the Dongqing area, Tiger Bone. He was also one of the top 10 Heaven's favorites in the Tiger Clan. "You are Lu Ming? You're really gutsy, daring to wait for us here?" Tiger Bone said coldly. "Someone's giving you free points, why not wait?" Lu Ming asked. Chapter 2635 Annihilating the Tigermen Tribe, Free Points? Ha! Hugu laughed out loud. After a few more laughs, his smile suddenly disappeared and he stared at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. "During this period of time, some people have placed you on the same level as me and called you the 4th top expert in the Dongqing area. I'd like to see what you're capable of." After saying that, Tiger Bone stepped out. Bang! Bang! Every step he took caused the ground to rumble. Tiger Bone's body also swelled up and became extremely majestic. A halberd was formed in his hand with divine power. It was as tall as a person. Kill! Tigerbone roared and his aura rose higher and higher. He continued to take steps and raised his aura to the maximum. Buzz! The halberd suddenly slashed down at Lu Ming with a thunderous momentum. Buzz! Lu Ming was also very direct. He swept his long spear out. The long spear and the halberd met in midair, and a shocking boom rang out. Boom! 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 A terrifying power burst out from Tigerbone's battle axe, which seemed to be able to split the mountains and the earth. This was the explosive power of an incomplete divine skill. However, Lu Ming's long spear burst out with 7 layers of power at the same time. The 7 layers of power overlapped, and each layer was stronger than the previous. 7 layers of power gushed out, instantly crushing the power of the Tigerbone halberd, and rushed towards the other party. Tigerbone's expression changed drastically. He was forced to retreat more than 10 steps before he could stabilize himself. Your incomplete divine skill has already reached the 3rd level. How is that possible? Tigerbone roared in shock. Just now, Lu Ming did not use all of his power of domination. He had used an incomplete divine skill. He had used the 3rd stage of his incomplete divine skill to defeat his opponent in one fell swoop. What? The 3rd level? How is it possible? How could he have cultivated an incomplete divine skill to the 3rd level? How long has it been? I've only cultivated to the 1st stage not long ago. Me too. Tigerbone's words caused the other Tigermen youths to be extremely shocked. Although the difficulty of cultivating an incomplete divine skill was not as high as a complete divine skill, it was already very difficult for people at their level. Out of the 1 million people, a portion of them had not even reached the beginner level. They had not even cultivated to the 1st level. A large portion of them, even though they had learned the rudiments, were only at the 1st level. For example, Tigerbone had cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the 2nd level. With his king-grade divine power, he had become one of the top 3 experts in the Dongqing area. At this moment, the Heaven's favorites who were hiding in the surrounding buildings were also scared out of their wits. Their eyes were wide open. It was a complete Ma.S. Saker, a one-sided Ma.S. Saker. At first, many people wanted to wait for Lu Ming and the Tigermen race to suffer heavy losses so that they could take advantage of the situation. However, they were now filled with fear. Pick up a bargain? Lu Ming did not consume much energy. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. They held their breaths for fear of being discovered by Lu Ming. So many points. At this moment, the badge on his chest was sending out a series of notifications. His points had skyrocketed, and his ranking had also risen. Now, his ranking had directly rushed up to the 51st place in the 20th region. I've finally returned to the top 100. Lu Ming smiled. Meanwhile, in Wanling City, the people of the chaotic astral river were also shocked. Look, Lu Ming's ranking is soaring. So fast, 137, 129, 98, 67. They gasped when they saw Lu Ming's ranking rising. In the end, Lu Ming's ranking was set at 51st place. 51st place. That's amazing. I never expected that Lu Ming would actually charge into the 51st place in the 20th region. As long as he maintains this ranking, he will definitely enter the top 100. That's right. I didn't expect so many geniuses to appear in the righteous heavenly army this time. This is too shocking. There was a lot of discussion around. The leaders of these forces looked at the ancestor of technique with envy. Kang Ji and Situ Haonan's faces were as ugly as they could be. The 20th region. Lu Ming was about to leave when he suddenly looked to his left. There was a black-robed young man with a pair of wings on his back. This was a winged man. The wings on his back flapped and he floated in the air, floating toward Lu Ming. One should know that one couldn't fly in this place, but this person was floating in the air with his wings. It's Deng Yu. It's Deng Yu. That's right, it's him. This battle has actually attracted Deng Yu. And NBSP, the people in hiding all around took in cold breaths. Chapter 2636 Decisive Battle with Deng Yu. The city they were in was extremely huge, like a small world. It was divided into 4 urban areas: north, south, east, and west. There were a few top experts in each urban area. However, there was an expert in the north, south, east, and west who was publicly acknowledged as the #1 expert. That person was Deng Yu. He was the #1 expert in this city, a top genius. At least in this city, no one could match him. He had earned his reputation by killing. And now, Deng Yu had appeared. Could it be that he wanted to fight Lu Ming? Many people revealed looks of antic. 1. Asian. Lu Ming's abilities were also extremely shocking. Tiger Bone, one of the top experts in the Dongqing area, was completely crushed by Lu Ming. They really wanted to know who was stronger, Lu Ming or Deng Yu. You are very strong. I didn't expect that this city would have an expert like you. Deng Yu stopped and landed on a house. He looked at Lu Ming. Deng Yu? Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. He had heard the human youth mention it before, and now that he saw Deng Yu, he immediately thought of it. Not bad. Deng Yu nodded. He looked at Lu Ming with a strong fighting spirit in his eyes. I was planning to go to other cities and challenge experts, but it seems that there's no need for that now. The battle intent in Deng Yu's eyes grew stronger as he spoke. You want to fight, that's exactly what I want. Lu Ming also revealed his fighting spirit. No, you and I have a battle, but not now. Deng Yu shook his head. Not now. Lu Ming was puzzled. To be honest, you're very strong. I can't see through you at all. I don't have the confidence to fight you. Perhaps I will die in your hands. I don't have enough points now. If I lose half of my points, I'm not sure if I can make it into the top 100. So, how about we have a battle? When the 3-month deadline is almost up, we'll fight here. How about it? To be honest, you're very strong. I can't see through you at all. I don't have the confidence to fight you. Perhaps I will die in your hands. I don't have enough points now. If I lose half of my points, I'm not sure if I can make it into the top 100. So, how about we have a battle? When the 3-month deadline is almost up, we'll fight here. How about it? Deng Yu said. All right. Lu Ming did not hesitate and nodded in agreement. He understood Deng Yu's thoughts. If he was killed by Lu Ming now, his points would be reduced by half. He was not confident that he could steadily enter the top 100. Therefore, during this period of time, he would go and obtain more points. When he had enough points, even if his points were halved, he could still firmly enter the top 100. There were a total of 36 swords, and their sword Qi soared into the sky. Fight! A long spear appeared in Lu Ming's palm. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and charged toward Deng Yu as one with his spear. Go! Deng Yu waved his hand. 36 combat swords formed a strange combination and continuously stabbed at Lu Ming. Boom! 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 Lu Ming's long spear and Deng Yu's combat sword kept colliding with each other, and the force was overflowing. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of moves. This Deng Yu is not weak. Lu Ming thought to himself. He could sense Deng Yu's overall combat strength as soon as they exchanged blows. The divine power that Deng Yu controlled was also king-grade divine power, but it was much stronger than the average king-grade divine power. Shen power of the same level also had differences in strength. Some of them were very different in power. For example, Tong Shi and Kong Long both controlled king-grade divine power, but Tong Shi Er's king-grade divine power was stronger than Kong Long's by a level. This Deng Yu was also the same. His king-grade divine power was not weaker than Tong Shi Er's, and was even stronger. Moreover, his incomplete divine skill had also reached the peak of the second stage. His battle sense was also very strong. In terms of overall combat strength, he was much stronger than Tiger Bone. No wonder he could become the #1 expert in this city. Amazing, amazing again. After exchanging dozens of moves, the fighting spirit in Deng Yu's eyes grew stronger and stronger. He waved his hands and sword light surged. 36 combat swords continuously rushed toward Lu Ming. Each attack was shockingly powerful and unpredictable. It seems like I need to increase the power of the ruler's power. Lu Ming smiled faintly. And NBSP, when he had fought with others before, he had not used all of his ruler power. What he had used had only been the power of ordinary divine power. At this moment he had used his power of domination to unleash a power equivalent to king-grade divine power. Instantly, his combat strength increased by a notch. The spear's radiance surged and swept away Deng Ye's sword radiance. "Let's end this," Lu Ming muttered. The long spear trembled and turned into a flash of spear radiance as fast as lightning. It was like a fairy from beyond the heavens, shattering the void. The spear radiance burst forth with 7 layers of energy, and the remaining sword radiance of Deng Yu was completely destroyed. In the next moment, the spear radiance pierced through Deng Ye's chest. Deng Ye's body stiffened in the air. "Amazing, amazing. I'm completely convinced of my defeat." Deng Yu smiled. Then, his body turned into energy and disappeared with a bang. Chapter 2637 Biggest Winner Lu Ming vs. Deng Yu. Lu Ming won. This Deng Yu has such a shocking number of points. After killing Deng Yu, Lu Ming's points skyrocketed and his ranking rose again. Initially, Lu Ming's ranking was 39th in the 20th district. After killing Deng Yu, his ranking rose to 17th in the 20th district. After all, there were more than 50,000 people in the 20th district and 18 megacities. Some people fought almost non-stop, so it was normal to have more points than him. Terrifying, he's really terrifying. Even Deng Yu isn't his match. Maiji, this person's battle strength is truly astonishing. I never thought that the chaotic astral river would actually produce such a person. I think that with his strength, he can probably charge into the top 100 of the overall ranking. It's very likely. We'll have to see his battles with his other opponents in the second round of the assessment. And NBSP, the people watching from all around were shocked to the extreme, unable to calm down. Deng Yu was publicly acknowledged as the most powerful person in this city. However, he was killed by Lu Ming in the end. At this moment, in Wanling City, the people of the chaotic astral river were already in an uproar. Lu Ming's ranking has risen again. He has risen again. He's actually reached the 17th place in the 20th zone. This is too shocking. Amazing, amazing, amazing. This time, the righteous heavenly army is amazing. Many people sighed with emotion. There was less than a day left before the first round of the assessment was about to end. This time, there were a total of 5 people from the righteous army, and they were ranked in the top 100 in their respective regions. Xianxia and Xianxia were in their respective zones, from 70th to 80th. Are the two of them hiding their strength? The ancestor of technique muttered. He knew about Xianxia and Xianxia's talents. Both of them had mastered the divine power. To be able to control the divine-grade divine power as soon as she broke through to the martial G. D realm, her comprehension ability was definitely not low. However, under normal circumstances, their ranking would not be so low. Then there was only one possibility. They were hiding their strength. Seeing that they were about to advance, they stopped. On the other hand, Tong Shi and Dandan were ranked higher. Tong Shi was ranked 53rd in her region. Dandan ranked 36th. In addition to Lu Ming and the Righteous Sky Army, there were a total of 5 people who made it into the top 100 of their respective zones. Even the Yunfeng Pavilion Master would be envious of such a result. After all, only 3 people from the Yunfeng Pavilion had made it into the top 100 of their respective regions. As for Kong Ji and Sidahuanan, they were so jealous that they were about to go crazy. How did this happen? The heavens are unfair. The two of them roared in their hearts. Previously, someone said that Lu Ming relied on luck and would definitely be killed later on. What about now? Fa Ming's voice was filled with ridicule as he looked toward Sidahuanan and Kong Ji. The two of them were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. At the same time, they started to panic. There were so many heaven's favorites in the righteous army, especially Lu Ming. He actually made it to the 17th place in Zone 20. With such talent, if they all joined the Qin Tian 13 clans, the Origin Luo Palace and the Walkabout sect would not have any good days. The only thing they were happy about was that Sidu Feng's ranking was not low either. In his region he was ranked 26th. It's still too early to talk about this. Let's see who will be able to join the 3 overlord forces in the second round. Sidu Haonan gritted his teeth and said, "Time, there was less than a day's time until the end of this round of assessment. On the last day, the Saker in the 20 regions became even more frenzied. That was because once they entered the top 100 of their respective regions, it was almost certain that they would be able to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. However, once they were eliminated, it would be a different story. They would not be able to make their own choices. Furthermore, even if one didn't enter the top 100 as long as one's points were high, the chances of being selected by the Qin Heaven 13 clans would be higher. Therefore everyone went crazy. Crazy killing, crazy killing. My ranking is 103. As long as I kill him, I can enter the top 100. In the third region, a young Tauren was madly charging at his opponent. In the sixth region, a young man was madly chasing after another young man. However, the other party was running away madly, causing the young man to roar madly. Just a little more. He was just a little bit away, but the other party would not let him kill him so easily. For a moment, he could not catch up with the other party and was extremely anxious. Crazy. Everyone's eyes were red as they madly fought. This was related to their future and their destiny. It would be strange if they weren't crazy. In the 20 regions, in the cities, crazy killing was happening everywhere. However, there were some people who no one dared to provoke. Once they saw them, their expressions changed drastically and they immediately fled. For example, Golden Saint, Huye, Yang Chong, Ling Huyi, and others. They were all the kings of their respective regions, and they were ranked first. In the 20th zone, where Lu Ming and Deng Yu had fought, Lu Ming did not leave. He sat cross-legged and comprehended the incomplete divine skill, waiting for the time to come. However, none of them dared to provoke Lu Ming. They did not even dare to get too close to him. Although everyone knew that Lu Ming had a shocking number of points, who would dare to have any ideas about him? Unless he didn't want to live anymore. Time passed by quickly. When the 3 months were up, his body seemed to be pulled by a force, and he turned into a rainbow light and disappeared. The next moment, Lu Ming realized that his spiritual will had returned to his body. They were still in one of the rooms in the inn. At the same time, Xianxia, Xianxia, Tong Shi, and Dandan had also woken up. The jade talismans above their heads glowed, and words appeared on them. Everyone's points and ranking could be clearly seen. With a glance, everything was clear. Little Qing and Xianxia, Lu Ming was slightly surprised. Xianxia and Xianxia's ranking was slightly low. Perhaps they're hiding their strength, Lu Ming thought to himself. At this moment, the rankings on the 20 huge screens had been completely fixed. This time, a total of 15 people from the chaotic astral river have entered the top 100 of their respective regions. The righteous army became the biggest winner, with 5 people. Even the Yunfeng pavilion only had 3 people. As for Situ Feng, Situ Xiao, Kong Long, and the others, only Situ Feng had made it into the top 100. Quick, record down the top rankings of your respective regions. It'll be best if you can get into the top 5,000. The top 10,000 of each region can be recorded. These are the geniuses ACCU, Mulat in the entire Qin Tian starfield over 1,000 years. At this moment, many people began to record the rankings on the screen. These people came from some of the smaller factions in the Qin Heaven starfield. In the Qin Heaven star zone, other than the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, there were many other small powers. Their strength was far inferior to the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, but compared to powers like the Yunfeng Pavilion, they were still much stronger. These forces knew that those who were ranked higher would definitely not join them. Hence, they targeted those who were ranked slightly lower. These people might not catch the attention of the Qin Heaven 13 clans, but they did. Chapter 2638 Purchasing Secret Techniques. This was like Taobao. Those that were ranked lower might not necessarily have no gold. In history, such a situation had also occurred. Some people's performance during the test was average and weren't selected by the Qin Heavenly 13 clans. Instead, they joined a small power. However, later on, there were some who soared to the heavens and rose up against the heavens. They became heavenly deities, kings, and even became the top experts of the Qin Heaven Star region. Once they found such gold, that small power would make a fortune. Many geniuses who weren't chosen by the Qin Heavenly 13 clans would join these small factions. Compared to the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, these small powers were undoubtedly Leviathan powers. Some forces had kings holding down the fort. After a while, the 20 screens in the sky disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by lines of words. At that moment, a message popped up in the jade talismans of Lu Ming and the rest. It was the information and rules of the second round of assessment. Everyone looked at it carefully. The rules of the second round of the assessment were also in the dream. Furthermore, just like the first round, everyone's cultivation was suppressed to the first level of the void D realm. In the dream CE, they could only use the incomplete divine skills they had comprehended. Moreover, the second round was a one-on-one battle on the arena. The top 100 in each of the 20 regions, a total of 2,000 people, would fight in pairs. However, the premise was that they had a month of rest. A month later, they would enter the forest of stone steels where they had comprehended the incomplete divine skill last time and comprehended again. This time it would be 2 years. The second round would only begin 2 years later. It was obvious that this was to further widen the gap between those with talent and comprehension. The Qin Heaven 13 clans were only interested in their comprehension and talent. During the process of the arena battles, experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans would descend and observe their battles. If they were satisfied, they would even take the initiative to invite them. What was different from the first round was that during the 2 years they were comprehending the incomplete divine skill, they could exit at any time and could also enter at any time, so they had much more freedom. There's still a month of maintenance. Shall we go out for a walk? Lu Ming said with a smile. Everyone naturally agreed. Everyone walked out of the inn and strolled on the streets. At the same time, they were on Myriad Spirit Planet, the largest commercial planet in the Qin Heaven Star Zone. Lu Ming had a few other goals. Back then, he had obtained some divine pills in the deity's cave abode on the northern Shang planet. He wanted to find some books that introduced divine pills and identify them. In addition, he had quite a few divine artifacts on hand. He planned to sell some of them and then buy a batch of divine artifact fragments for Qiuqiu to eat. As Qiuqiu's level increased, his requirements for divine artifact fragments also became higher and higher. The low-level divine artifact fragments were becoming less and less useful to it. He needed to buy some high-level divine artifact fragments. Besides, Lu Ming also wanted to see if he could find any secret skills that could conceal the power of domination so that others would not be able to recognize it easily. You guys go ahead, I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving first. After strolling around for a while, Xianxia spoke and left from another street. Lu Ming and the rest did not think too much about it. Xianxia had always been mysterious. They continued to stroll around, and not long after, they arrived at a bustling area. This area was filled with shops. This was the Qin Heaven Star region's largest business star. Caravans from the various galaxies of the Qin Heaven Star region truly had everything. The crowd was dazzled. Some of the treasures made them envious, but they were shockingly expensive. Even some true DS and heavenly DS couldn't afford them, let alone them. They strolled around for a while and came to a shop selling divine artifacts. Lu Ming sold a few level 7 low-grade divine artifacts and level 8 low-grade divine artifacts, then exchanged them for some divine artifact fragments of the same level. After that, they went to some shops that sold divine skills and secret techniques. So many divine skills and some secret skills. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Tong Xier's eyes were shining. On the other hand, Xian Nianking's expression was calm. At a glance, he saw at least a few hundred divine skills: attack type, speed type, and defense type. However, the high price made them gasp. In addition, there were even secret techniques. Secret techniques were different from divine skills. Secret skills were usually even rarer. They were used for auxiliary purposes. Some could be used to assist in attack, speed, alchemy, weapon refinement, and so on. Lu Ming looked at them one by one. Of course, there was no real copy here. It was just an introduction. Only when they took a fancy to it and wanted to buy it would the shop owner take out the real book. What a mystical secret technique! Lu Ming realized that some secret skills could increase one's combat strength in a short period of time, just like the battle formula. However, unlike the battle formula, there were no side effects. These secret skills usually had side effects. Some could increase one's speed, while some required special cultivation methods to increase one's combat strength. However, the price was usually astonishingly high. Given Lu Ming's current status, he could not afford it. Soul transformation. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up when he saw a secret skill. The soul transformation technique could change the aura, color, and level of divine power. The introduction was very simple, but it was suitable for Lu Ming. However, the price tag was 100,000 divine crystals. Lu Ming frowned. 100,000 divine gems was a very low price compared to other secret skills, but it was not a small amount. Sir, do you need this secret skill? A shop assistant asked Lu Ming. Can the price of this soul transformation technique be a little cheaper? Lu Ming said. Cheaper? I can't make this decision, I need to ask the manager. Wait a moment, I'll go ask the manager. The shopkeeper said politely and left in a hurry. After a while, the palace came back with a middle-aged man. Sir, you need this soul formation technique. How about this? I'll sell it to you for 80,000 divine crystals. Let's be friends, the shopkeeper said with a smile. 80,000 divine crystals is too expensive. I'll buy it for 50,000 divine crystals. Lu Ming said. 50,000, sir. I'm afraid that's not possible. It's too cheap. The shopkeeper shook his head. Shopkeeper, I think you know that the soul-changing technique is not very useful for most people. No matter how long you stay here, I'm afraid no one will buy it. 50,000 divine crystals is enough. Lu Ming shook his head casually, looking as if he did not care. Indeed, this divine transformation spell was completely different from the divine breath spell that Lu Ming had obtained in the past. The divine breath technique could change one's aura as if he was a different person. However, Lu Ming's cultivation level was too high now and the divine breath technique was no longer useful. The soul Hing spell could only change the aura, level, color, and so on of the divine power. But why would an ordinary person change their divine power level? Chapter 2639 Identifying Divine Pills. The soul transformation spell could only disguise high-level divine power as low-level divine power. It could not disguise low-level divine power as high-level divine power. Why would a normal person who controlled king-grade Shen power disguise their Shen power as normal Shen power? Normal people would wish that their Shen power level was higher. Only a small number of people who controlled sacred grade divine power or divine grade divine power would disguise their divine power as low-level divine power in order to not attract attention. However, such people were too rare. Therefore, as Lu Ming had said, a secret skill like the soul transformation technique was of little value. No one would buy it. The shopkeeper's expression changed. He knew that Lu Ming had a point. 50,000 divine crystals. Any more and I won't take it. I'm just curious. Lu Ming shook his head and was about to turn around and leave. Wait a minute, customer. 50,000 it is. I'll sell it to you. The shopkeeper quickly called out to Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled. He took out 50,000 divine crystals and handed it to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper then went into the depths of the shop and returned with a jade card for Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and scanned it with his spiritual senses. It was the secret skill of the divine transformation technique. It's done! Lu Ming was overjoyed. After putting them away, they walked out of the shop and walked around for a while. Xianxia, Tong Shi, Dandan, and the others each bought some things they needed. As for Lu Ming, he bought a few books that introduced some divine pills and returned to the inn. After returning to the inn, Lu Ming took out a book that introduced divine pills and read it carefully. Xianxia walked around alone. Soon she came to a tall building. The experienced ones could tell that this was a famous place on planet Thousand Spirits for gathering information. It was opened by a terrifying force that had power spread across more than half of the primal universe. One could buy a lot of information here. Xianxia walked in and was immediately welcomed. "Miss, how may I help you?" a young woman asked. "I want to get some information," Xianxia said. "Excuse me, is it news from the Qin Heaven Starfield or from other starfields?" the young woman asked. "Other starfields?" Xianxia. "Those from the other starfields, please follow me." The young lady led Xianxia into a room. Half an hour later, Xianxia frowned and left the building. A storm was brewing on planet Myriad Spirit. Some of the smaller forces had already started to meet up with some of the heaven's favorites who were not at the top of the rankings, hoping to win them over. In an inn. Those DS from the Righteous Heaven Army actually managed to get into the top 100. And it. Kong Long roared, his eyes filled with jealousy. Beside him, Sidu Xiao was in a similar state. This time, there were actually 5 people from the Righteous Heaven Army who had entered the top 100 of their respective regions, which was far beyond their expectations. As for Kong Long and Sidu Xiao, they didn't make it into the top 100 of their respective regions. Now, if they wanted to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans, it would be a mystery and would depend on luck. Don't worry. As long as I join a sect, I'll definitely recommend you to join together, Sidu Feng said indifferently. "Many thanks, big brother." Sidu Xiao was all smiles. "Many thanks, brother Situ." Kong Long thanked him profusely. This time, it was fortunate that he had Situ Feng. Not only had Situ Feng entered the top 100 in his region, but his ranking wasn't low either. Entering the Qin Heaven 13 clans was a matter of course. Feng, you have to perform well in the second round. The better you perform, the more you will be valued by the Qin Heaven 13 clans. After you join, the treatment you will receive will also be better, Sidu Haonan warned. "I know." Situ Feng nodded, and his eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight. This time, he wants to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat and leave the chaotic astral river. The Qintian Galaxy and even the desolate universe were his stage. On a mountain to the north of Wanling City. This was the gathering place of the Tigermen. At this moment, a roar came from the mountain. "Hu Mao, and you, Hu Gu, with your talent, you actually didn't enter the top 100 of the 20th region. What's going on?" Hu Ya's gaze was like lightning as he swept towards Hu Mao, Hu Gu, and the others. Tiger fur, tiger bones, usually very impressive, but in front of Hu Ya, it was like a mouse seeing a cat. Being swept by Hu Ya's gaze, he shivered. "It's all that brat's fault. That art D from the chaotic astral river." Hu Mao gritted his teeth and told him about Lu Ming. Chaotic astral river? I didn't expect that a mere chaotic astral river would have such a genius. However, no matter who it is, he must be punished for killing a member of my tiger clan. Don't worry. Don't let me meet him in the second round. Otherwise, I'll make sure he dies a horrible death, Hu Ya said coldly. If it were not for the rule that one was not allowed to lay a hand on other partic. 1p. Ants during the assessment period, he would have mobilized his power to find Lu Ming and kill him. Time flew by and 3 days passed. Lu Ming had already finished reading the few books that introduced divine pills. He had also roughly matched the divine pills he had obtained from the DS cave abode. The pills in the deity's cave abode were not of a high grade. Otherwise, the deity would not have left them there. There were healing medicinal pills, antidotes, and cultivation-enhancing medicinal pills. Among them, Lu Ming was most interested in two types of pills. One was the congealing divine pill. One was the spirit-strengthening pill. The congealing divine elixir could speed up the convergence of 10,000 yuan, allowing the transformation void martial stage to step into the demi-G. D realm faster. This was exactly what Lu Ming needed now. There was also the spirit-strengthening pill, which was extremely helpful to those in the void G. D realm. After a virtual G. D consumed it, they could condense and increase their divine power, break through to a higher realm, and greatly speed up their cultivation. Among them, there were 2 bottles of congealing divine elixir, with a total of 18 pills. There were a total of 6 bottles of spirit-strengthening pills, which contained 54 pills. Lu Ming gave Xianxia, Xianxia, and Tong Shi a bottle of spirit-strengthening pills each. This way, they could speed up their cultivation. He kept 2 bottles for himself. At the side, Qiu was hugging a piece of magical fragment and eating it with great joy. Lu Ming smiled and took out a few more pieces of the divine artifact fragments and threw them to Qiu. He took out a congealing divine pill and swallowed it before he started cultivating. The 1-month period was up in the blink of an eye. On this day, the jade token shone again and brought them into the dreamless peace. It was still the same stone-steel forest from last time. On it, there were all kinds of different incomplete divine skills. This time, they had 2 years to comprehend it. Roar. On the other side of the steel forest, the roars of beasts could be heard. This time, it was a little different from the last time. And NBSP this time, the dream dimension had opened up a training ground filled with countless desolate beasts, allowing everyone to enter. This way, it would be of great help in comprehending and cultivating incomplete divine skills. Chapter 2640, Huya's provocation. They didn't act immediately, but looked at each other. There were a total of 2,000 people, and they might all be compet. 1. Tours in 2 years. Lu Ming suddenly felt a few powerful auras pressing down on him. He turned around and saw a few figures walking toward Lu Ming. The Tiger Men. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that these people were from the Tiger clan. The young man in the lead was tall and strong. He was even taller than the Tiger Bone and had a domineering aura. You are Lu Ming? A few young men from the Tiger tribe stopped in front of Lu Ming. The young man in the lead spoke coldly. Not bad. Lu Ming responded. Very good. In the 20th region, you killed many of my Tiger tribe's experts. You'd better not meet me in the 2nd round. Otherwise, it'll make you die a miserable death. The Tiger Men youth in the lead said ferociously as killing intent burst out from his eyes. This brat from the chaotic astral river has actually offended the Tiger Man tribe. He's finished. Now that Huya has his eyes on him, I'm afraid he won't have an easy time in the 2nd round. At the side, some people were discussing in low voices. Huya, you're really becoming more and more useless. You've actually set your eyes on a person from the chaotic astral river. Your opponent is me. At this time, a rough voice sounded. A young man who was even stronger than Huya stepped out, and his powerful aura pressed down on Huya. Golden Sage, it's the Golden Sage. Some people recognized this young man. He was as famous as Huya and was also a top genius who had mastered sacred grade divine power. Golden Sage, you and I will have a battle one day. This time, the 1st place will belong to me. Huya sneered. What a joke. You think you can get 1st place? The 1st place is mine. The Golden Saint faced off, and their auras collided. Divine power spread out from their bodies, and a terrifying sharpness flowed out. The two of you are really narcissistic to the extreme. Do you think you're worthy of the 1st place? At this moment, a young man stepped out and formed a horn with Golden Saint and Huya. Yang Chong. He was another existence who controlled the divine power. Golden Saint and Huya's eyes turned serious. This test tests talent, comprehension, and combat experience. It's not about having a high Shen power level that you can get first. A cold voice sounded. A young man from the human-snake hybrid clan stepped out and joined the confrontation. That's right. A high level of Shen power does not necessarily mean a high achievement in the future. As long as you have divine skills and wondrous methods, there are many who can catch up from behind. Another young man walked out. Bang! Bang! Following that, powerful auras burst forth as more and more young heaven's favorites joined in the fight. There were more than 10 of them. Amazing! They're all ranked first in their respective regions. Someone exclaimed. These young men who had joined the confrontation were all ranked first in their respective regions in the first round. Each of them was full of confidence, arrogant, and conceited, not weaker than anyone else. Not only these people, but also the second and third ranked people in their respective regions were full of confidence. In the first round, the one with the highest points was not the strongest. Sometimes, luck was also needed. Some people with low points did not mean they were not strong. These people were also full of fighting spirit and wanted to compete with the Golden Sage, Huya, and the others. Lu Ming smiled casually and took a few steps back. He could not be bothered to fight with these people. It was useless to say anything now. He would naturally know when they fought 2 years later. Then let's have a battle 2 years later, Huya said coldly. Then he glanced at Lu Ming coldly. In a flash, he led the geniuses of the Tiger Clan and charged into the forest of stone steels. Then Golden Sage and the others also rushed into the stone steel forest and disappeared. Buzz! 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 After that, the others flashed and rushed toward the steel forest. This time, there were only 2,000 people and they looked spa. In the blink of an eye, they entered the forest of stone steels. However, different people had different choices. Some people rushed into the stone steel forest to find new and incomplete divine skills to cultivate. For example, most people would choose an incomplete speed divine skill or an incomplete defense divine skill. When combined with an incomplete attack divine skill, the power would definitely be stronger. However, in this way, comprehending several incomplete divine skills at the same time was bound to divide a lot of energy. And some people directly said through the forest of stone steels and rushed into the other side of the forest of stone steels. They entered the training ground, looked for desolate beasts to kill, and focused on cultivating an incomplete divine skill. As long as one cultivated an incomplete divine skill to an extremely high realm, its power would similarly be extremely shocking. Everyone had their own choices. Lu Ming, Xianxia, and the rest split up. Lu Ming wandered around the stone tablet forest. Lu Ming also planned to choose an incomplete divine skill to cultivate. His comprehension was high enough, and choosing one more was the best way. Not long after, Lu Ming chose an incomplete speed-type divine skill. This incomplete divine skill actually had a name. ROC Wing Technique. He had comprehended the great ROC's flight and had evolved it. Once he used it, it was as if the great ROC had spread its wings, and his speed was astonishing. Similarly, this incomplete divine skill was divided into 7 levels. Lu Ming began to study it carefully. After more than a month, Lu Ming finally got the hang of it. Lu Ming did not continue to cultivate after he entered the sect. He said through the forest of stone steels and came to the other side. He wanted to enter the training ground and find desolate beasts to kill. This way, his cultivation speed would be the fastest. On the other side of the steel forest, there were 72 huge caves that led to different training grounds. The last time they entered this place, there were no Void Realm experts. This was the first time they had seen them. Lu Ming walked into a cave at random. After passing through the cave, a boundless plain appeared in front of him. On the plain, the roars were like thunder, and one could see many huge desolate beasts wandering around. Some of the desolate beasts were already fighting with some young men. ROC Wing Technique. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He used his ruler's power to activate the ROC Wing Technique. A pair of invisible wings seemed to have appeared on his back, causing his speed to increase explosively as he charged toward the plain. Not long after, a wild beast that looked like a lion and was 10 meters tall pounced at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not fight back. He cast the ROC Wings technique and dodged the wild beast's attack. He went around the wild beast and went deep into the plain. Along the way, desolate beasts attacked Lu Ming continuously. He dodged them with the ROC Wing technique. This way, he could also practice the ROC Wing technique. Lu Ming did not know how deep he had gone. At this point, he could not see any other young talents. At this moment, Lu Ming finally stopped. Roar! All of a sudden, a few dire beasts pounced at Lu Ming. These wild beasts weren't very strong. Some of them were equivalent to first-level Void G, D realm, some were second-level Void G, D realm, and there were only a few third-level Void G, D realm beasts. Of course, there were also those at or above the fourth level of the Void G, D realm. Of course, the number was even fewer. A long spear formed in Lu Ming's palm. At the same time, he cast the ROC Wing technique and charged at the wild beasts. The spear light swept across, and the roar was like thunder. The bitter cultivation had begun. With desolate beasts as training, the speed of cultivation of incomplete divine skills would be much faster. Chapter 2641 and others, P. Sitime Spirit Mouse as time passed, said, Lu Ming's control over the two incomplete divine skills became deeper and deeper. 2 months later, Lu Ming's incomplete spear technique had another breakthrough and reached the 4th level. As for the ROC Wing technique, he had also cultivated it to the 2nd level. It's not enough. I have to cultivate to a higher level. Lu Ming muttered. To be honest, he was still under a bit of pressure for this assessment. It would not be easy to get first place without exposing his ruler's power. The Golden Saint, Wuxia, and Xianxia were all existences who could control divine-grade divine power, and their comprehension abilities were definitely not low. It would not be easy to defeat them. The main thing was that Lu Ming's cultivation level was too low. Wuxia and the others were all suppressed to the 1st level of the Void G, D realm. Lu Ming was only a 7-star heavenly emperor. Since he could not use the battle formula, Lu Ming did not have much of an advantage. After all, the power of the divine power was extremely powerful. Therefore, if he wanted to defeat his opponent with a lower cultivation base, an incomplete divine skill was of utmost importance. Lu Ming continued to cultivate. Time passed, said day by day. One day, a figure suddenly appeared in see outside Myriad Spirit Planet. This figure was a beautiful middle-aged woman. She looked to be in her 40s, but she still had her charm. She stopped in see and looked at Planet Thousand Spirits. I didn't expect that there would be a member of my clan in the Qin Heaven Star system. It seems that he hasn't reached adulthood yet. He should be a descendant of one of my clan members who has been stranded outside. Our race is originally small in number. Since we've encountered them, we'll bring them back and nurture them well. After saying that, the beautiful middle-aged woman took a step forward. The next moment, she appeared on a street in Wanling City. Her speed was so fast that it was unbelievable. Moreover, no one on the street seemed to have noticed how the beautiful middle-aged woman had appeared. It was as if she had been there all along. Among these people, there were heavenly D level existences. The beautiful middle-aged woman's gaze landed on an inn. This inn was the one where Lu Ming and the others were staying. The next moment, she took another step and appeared in a room. This room was Bubbles' cultivation place. Bubbles had been following Lu Ming here and was cultivating in this room. Bubbles had been cultivating with her eyes closed. Suddenly, she sensed something and opened her eyes. She saw the beautiful middle-aged woman standing in front of her, sizing her up curiously. Paoba was given a huge shock as she stood up and wanted to escape. However, she realized that she couldn't move. She was confined in the air. She has excellent talent and is a top-grade unpolished jade. If she is sculpted, she will definitely be dazzling. The beautiful middle-aged woman sized up the bubble carefully. The more she looked at it, the more satisfied she was. Why do I feel so close to him? Pow Pow blinked her eyes and said, right now, she was no longer afraid. Instead, she could feel a sense of familiarity from this beautiful middle-aged lady. You and I are of the same race, so we naturally have a sense of familiarity. The beautiful middle-aged woman smiled, and then her figure changed rapidly. The next moment, times Spirit Mouse appeared in the air. C times Spirit Mouse. The beautiful middle-aged woman was also times Spirit Mouse. Bubbles blinked her eyes hard. This was the first time she had seen other times Spirit Rats, and she felt closer to them. Little fellow, you've probably never returned to the clan before, right? Now, I'll bring you back to the clan. That's the place you should stay. Only then can your talent truly be displayed. The beautiful middle-aged woman said as she transformed back into her human form. Return to your race with you? Pioba muttered. To be honest, she really wanted to follow the middle-aged woman to the CE times Spirit Rat clan and meet other members of the same clan. However, she could not bear to part with Lu Ming. I want to say goodbye to brother Lu Ming before I can leave with you. Finally, Bubbles gritted her teeth. Although she could not bear to part with Lu Ming, she realized that her current cultivation level was too low. She could not help Lu Ming at all. Even Danden's cultivation level had said hers. Therefore, she decided to return to the clan with the middle-aged woman first to improve her strength before coming out. Farewell, that's easy. The beautiful middle-aged woman revealed a happy expression and swept her gaze over the crowd. There's a world divine turtle here. My clan and the world divine turtle have a deep relationship. Why don't we bring this world divine turtle to the world divine turtle clan? The beautiful middle-aged woman muttered. Then she waved her hand and brought Bubbles to Danden's room. At this moment, a jade card was floating above Danden's head, and she was cultivating an incomplete divine skill in the dream. Wake up! The beautiful middle-aged woman said. The light on the jade tablet above Danden's head dimmed, and he woke up. Nest, what happened? I'm cultivating right now. As soon as Danden woke up, she let out a strange cry, and then immediately saw the middle-aged beautiful woman. The moment he saw the middle-aged lady, Danden's hair stood on end. He wanted to retreat immediately, but, just like Bubbles, he realized that he could not move at all. Danden, it's like this. This is a senior of my clan. Bubbles introduced the beautiful middle-aged lady. It turns out to be a senior of this C times Spirit Rat clan. Danden's heart moved. Little guy, you're not young anymore. You must have learned a lot from your bloodline inheritance. In the primeval universe, the world turtle and the CE times Spirit Rat are quite related. Are you willing to come with me? I'll take you back to the world turtle clan. The beautiful middle-aged woman said. I'm willing, of course I'm willing. I know, I'm 10,000 times willing to do it. Danden immediately agreed and nodded quickly. How could he not be willing? As long as he could return to the divine turtle clan of the world, he would be able to improve even faster. Why would he need to join the Qin Heavenly 13 clans? Danden, I want to say goodbye to brother Lu Ming. How was it? That's good. Say goodbye to that guy. Danden nodded. Then, the middle-aged lady brought the two of them to Lu Ming's room. A voice was heard, and Lu Ming woke up. What's going on? Lu Ming was also a little dumbfounded. He was fighting with the dire beasts and suddenly left the dreams. You are... At the sight of the middle-aged lady, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed as thoughts ran through his mind. Could it be that this person had asked him to leave the dreams? See? Brother Lu Ming, this is a senior from my clan. Pow Pow pulled Lu Ming's arm and said, a senior of these times Spirit Rat clan. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He had heard the ancestral dragon mention it before. A few of the top 10 battle beasts in the Heaven Realm were not native to the Heaven Realm, but came from the desolate universe. The World Turtle, the C times Spirit Rat, and the Saint Spirit Ant all came from the primal universe. Could it be that the person in front of him was a senior of the C times Spirit Rat clan in the primal universe? Lu Ming, It's like this. Dandan explained that they were going to return to the clan with the beautiful middle-aged woman. This is a good thing. Lu Ming smiled. He naturally would not object. Only by returning to the clan with the beautiful middle-aged woman would they have a better future. Following him would instead bury one's talent. Chapter 2642 Demi-G. Oh, brother Lu Ming, when I'm successful in my cultivation in the future, I'll definitely come back and look for you. Bubbles said, a little reluctant. She had been following Lu Ming since she was very young. Naturally, she was reluctant to part with him. Go. Cultivate well. In the future, I will visit you too. Lu Ming smiled. Although he was also a little reluctant, he also understood that separation was the best choice. Not bad, little guy. You're very talented and have a lot of opportunities. In the future, you might have a chance in the universe. The middle-aged lady sized Lu Ming up as if she could see through him. There was a hint of surprise in her eyes. Lu Ming laughed bitterly in his heart. He knew that this beautiful middle-aged woman's cultivation had probably reached an unbelievable level. His secret would most likely be seen through by her. I wonder if she has discovered the battle formula. Lu Ming thought in his heart. The word battle that Baya had once mentioned was an extremely precious treasure even in the primeval universe. Many great figures would fight to the death for it. If he was discovered by the beautiful middle-aged woman, who knew what the consequences would be. However, at this moment, Lu Ming discovered that the word battle in his sea of consciousness was shrinking rapidly. It was billions of times smaller than a speck of dust, as if it was afraid that the beautiful middle-aged woman would notice it. Fortunately, the beautiful middle-aged woman didn't seem to notice anything strange. Little fellow, you can be considered to have fate with my clan. I will give you a hand. With that, the middle-aged lady waved her hand and a stream of energy surged into Lu Ming's body. Immediately, Lu Ming felt that all the energy in his body was about to be condensed into one, reaching the point of 10,000 elements returning to one and igniting the divine fire. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming was grateful. He knew that the other party was helping him. See you again if we're fated to. The beautiful middle-aged woman waved her hand and the bubble disappeared with Dandan. See you again if we're fated to. Lu Ming muttered. He then sat cross-legged and began to cultivate. Boom, boom, boom. And NBSP in his body, sovereign power surged like a river. Originally, he had also had a wisp of world energy. But now, this wisp of world power had been completely melted by the ruler's power and transformed into it. The only thing left in his meridians was the power of AGT, nothing else. Initially, if Lu Ming wanted to reach this stage, he would need a period of time to polish it. He estimated that he would need at least more than 10 years. However, with the help of the beautiful middle-aged woman's power, he had broken through directly. Congealing divine pill. Lu Ming took out a few more congealing divine pills and swallowed them in one go. Boom, boom, boom. With the help of the spirit congealing pill, his ruler's power started to gather in his dantian. Then, it kept on compressing. Compress, compress again. In the end, all the ruler's power gathered into a ball in his dantian and kept compressing. And NBSP, when it was compressed to its limit, the sovereign power underwent an earth-shaking transformation. On the surface of the sovereign power, a flame suddenly began to spread. In the beginning, the flame was small, but soon, the flame grew bigger and finally burned fiercely. Divine fire. This was a divine fire formed from divine power. Lu Ming had successfully ignited the divine fire. It meant that he had entered the Demi-G. D-realm. And NBSP and NBSP not long after, all of the D energy had been converted into divine fire. Lu Ming had officially entered the Demi-G. D-realm. Of course, it was only a wisp of divine fire now, and the amount was not large. Next, he needed to keep strengthening the divine fire and fill his body with divine power. Then, with the help of the divine power, his body would complete a transformation and turn into a divine body. At that time, he would have stepped into the martial G-O-D realm and become a G-O-D. Let's test its power. With a single thought, Lu Ming ignited the divine fire and a thin layer of divine power spread out from his palm. Buzz! Lu Ming's palm cut through the void, making an ear-piercing sound. Divine power. The power of AG-O-D's divine power is indeed much stronger than the power of AG-D. Lu Ming revealed a smile. And NBSP, although he only had a wisp of divine fire in his body, this was AG-O-D's divine power that was far stronger than the G-O-D's divine power from before. Lu Ming's combat strength did not decrease. Instead, it increased by another level. Lu Ming was more confident about the second round of the assessment. After becoming a demi-G-O-D, he was only one step away from first-level virtual G-O-D level. Lu Ming was confident that even if he did not unleash the full power of the ruler's divine power, he would be able to suppress everyone. He still had this bit of confidence. Next, Lu Ming swallowed a few more congealing divine pills to completely consolidate his realm. Then, he entered the dream again to cultivate. In these 2 years, they could freely enter and exit the dream See, time flew by, and 2 years said in a flash. Dream realm, trial grounds, planes. At least a dozen fourth-tier virtual G-O-D-level wild beasts pounced at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's body moved like a ROC flying in the sky, easily avoiding the attacks of more than a dozen wild beasts. Then, he thrust his long spear forward, and more than a dozen spear gleams pierced toward these wild beasts. In an instant, more than a dozen wild beasts that were equivalent to 4th-level Void G-O-D level were all killed by Lu Ming. The ROC wing technique has reached the 6th level. As for that spear technique, it has also reached the 6th level. Lu Ming smiled. This was what he had gained in the past 2 years. The more one cultivated a divine skill, the harder it was to improve it. However, Lu Ming had used 2 years to cultivate 2 incomplete divine skills to the 6th level. If news of this spread, many people would be shocked. There was no doubt that Lu Ming's comprehension ability was the best of the best. Otherwise, he would not have been able to create miracles in the heaven realm, control multiple ultimate maxims at the same time, and finally cultivate the path of domination. And NBSP Wang. At this time, pillars of light descended from the sky, enveloping everyone. Their figures disappeared, and in the next moment, they appeared on stone platforms. The stone platforms were suspended in the air. Nearly 2,000 stone platforms surrounded a huge battle platform. This place was still the dream Buzz. At this moment, a figure appeared in the sky above the fighting ring. This figure was the host, the one the 13 clans had chosen to host this test. The MDSP on planet Thousand Spirits was once again filled with people. Everyone's eyes were looking at the sky. In the sky, there was a huge screen that completely reflected the situation in the dream Everyone could see the compet. 1. Tie-in in the dream see through this screen. Within the dream the figure above the fighting ring was a middle-aged man. His eyes swept across the crowd as he spoke. For all of you to be able to enter the second round, you are all the elites of the Qin Heaven Star region in the past 1,000 years. All of you already have the qualifications to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans. However, all of you have to perform well next. The better you perform, the more you will be valued by the Qin Heaven 13 clans. In the future, when you enter the Qin Heaven 13 clans, the treatment you will receive will also be better. Do you understand? The middle-aged man said. Understood. Everyone roared, their eyes burning. Chapter 2643. The final battle begins. Although it was already certain that they would be able to enter the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, They had to perform well if they wanted to obtain a better future. If they were chosen by some big shot, they could also soar to the sky. Everyone's eyes were burning. Now, please welcome the seniors of the 13 clans. The burly man said as he cupped his fists in the air. Suddenly, there was a flash of light in the sky. Then, figures appeared one after another. There were a total of 13 batches of people, and each batch had 3 to 5 people. There were men and women, old and young. These were the experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans. Many people were shocked and swore to themselves that they would perform well later. Alright, let's start the compet. 1. Time now. There were 2,000 of you, but now there are only 1,999 of you. One of you hasn't come yet, but it doesn't matter. The compet. 1. Tie-in later will be random. The jade talisman will light up at random. The 2 people who light up at the same time will go up. The middle-aged man announced. Lu Ming smiled. The one missing was naturally Dandan. Buzz. Buzz. Suddenly, the jade talismans above 2 people's heads started to shine like 2 stars. You 2 go up and fight. The middle-aged man said. Of the 2 youths, one was a youth from the Serpentmen tribe and the other was a genius from the Turtle Sh. L tribe. The Tortoise Sh. L clan was similar to the human clan in every other aspect, except that they had a Tortoise Sh. L on their back, and they were known for their defense. The 2 of them looked at each other with cold eyes. Then, they jumped onto the fighting ring at the same time and stood opposite each other. The young man from the human-snake hybrid clan was the first to make a move. He stomped his feet and his body moved like lightning toward the young man from the turtle L clan. In his hand, a sword light was thrust at the young man from the turtle L clan. The attacks of the human-snake hybrid clan were fast, accurate, and ruthless. However, the young man didn't panic at all. Gray divine power emanated from his body, and then his limbs and head retracted into the sh. Clang. The serpent man youth's long sword stabbed into the turtle sh. L, causing sparks to fly in all directions. However, the turtle L only rolled back a few times, and was completely fine. Is it useful to hide in your turtle sh? L? Watch me break your turtle sh. The young man from the Serpentmen race said coldly. He kept swinging his long sword, and sword chi shot toward the young man from the turtle race. However, the turtle I was completely fine even when the sword lights slashed at it. The sword light disappeared, and the other party was directly cut in half. The 2 halves of his body turned into energy and disappeared, and then condensed on the stone platforms around the fighting ring. His face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Although he wouldn't really die if he was killed in the dream See, that feeling was real. If he was outside, he would have died already. He was filled with lingering fear. So strong. His incomplete divine skill has already been cultivated to the 4th level. And he's definitely at the peak of the 4th level. Terrifying, too terrifying. With the same level of Shen power and the same cultivation, an ordinary person can't block one sword from him. Many people were discussing in shock. Sidu Feng's attack made many people's faces turn grave. An incomplete divine skill at the peak of the 4th level was already very high. One had to know that incomplete divine skills were harder to cultivate the further one went. Although 2 years had passed, said since the first round of assessment, most of the people were still in the 2nd and 3rd level. This was the first time someone had reached the 4th level. Furthermore, it was at the peak of the 4th level, not far from the 5th level. Combined with Situ Feng's king-grade divine power, how many people could be his match? Not bad. An expert from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans nodded with a smile. He looked at Situ Feng and seemed to be tempted. The experts from the other sects also looked at Situ Feng. To be able to cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the peak of the 4th level in just a few years, his comprehension ability was already very high. Big Brother is amazing. If Lu Ming were to encounter Big Brother, He would definitely not be able to withstand a single sword. Outside, Situ Shao laughed. Situ Haonan's face was also filled with joy. Brother Situ, congratulations. The big shots of the 13 clans just praised you. It's rare to be praised by the big shots of the 13 clans. Kong Ji also laughed and flattered. Although he was extremely jealous, he naturally had to quickly befriend Situ Haonan and firmly grasp this ally. That's right. Brother Situ, with your son's talent, it's normal for him to join the Qin Heaven 13 clans, 3 chiefs. I'm so envious. The other masters of the other powers in the chaotic astral river also praised him one by one. They wanted to take this opportunity to build a good relationship with Situ Haonan. Situ Haonan's mouth was about to split open from the smile. Chapter 2644 Multi-Eyed Race. Many of them looked at Situ Feng with a serious expression as they wondered how they should deal with him if they encountered him later. Only a small number of people remained calm and unmoved. Lu Ming, I hope you don't meet me. At this moment, Situ Feng looked at Lu Ming and sent him a message. Then he leaped and flew onto the stone platform. I wish I could meet you. Lu Ming smiled faintly and replied, causing Situ Feng's eyes to emit a cold light. The combat. 1. Tian continued. One by one. Not long after, it was Xianxia's turn. Beauty, you're so beautiful. I can't bear to hurt you. You should just admit defeat. Xianxia's opponent was a rather handsome young man. He looked at Xianxia teasingly. Buzz. Xianxia immediately attacked. His sword light burst forth and enveloped his opponent. His opponent's incomplete divine skill had only been cultivated to the 3rd level. He was no match for Xianxia and was killed after a few moves. What a powerful woman! Many people were secretly shocked. She's holding back. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The others were shocked by Xianxia's power, but Lu Ming knew that Xianxia had held back. He did not use his full strength. Otherwise, he could have killed the other party in one move. Lu Ming was curious as to why Xianxia had held back. Given her character, she would have killed him with one strike if he had provoked her like that. The combat. 1. Tian continued, and soon it was Xianxing's turn. Xianxing seemed to have held back as well. He did not use his full strength, especially when it came to the use of divine power. This made others think that she only controlled king-grade divine power. Then, it was Tong Shi-er's turn. Tong Shi-er's talent was very high, and the king-grade divine power she controlled was also a very terrifying king-grade divine power. Her comprehension was also extremely high, and she easily defeated her opponent. 3 people from the righteous army advanced in a row, causing the smiles on Kong Ji and Situ Haonan's faces to slowly disappear. Buzz. At this moment, a beam of light suddenly rose from Lu Ming's body. It was his turn. Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared on the field. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. His opponent was actually a 3-eyed race member. It looked almost the same as the evil D tribe of the evil D world. During this period of time, Lu Ming had also read some ancient books and had a better understanding of the 3-eyed race. The 3-eye race was considered a large race in the Qin Heaven Star region. They were very strong. Furthermore, the 3-eyed race was under the multi-eyed race. The multi-eyed race was an extremely terrifying race. Even in the primeval universe, its reputation was well known. It was ranked near the top of the list of 10,000 races in the primeval universe. The 3-eyed race was only a branch of the multi-eyed race. Of course, the 3-eyed race in front of him had nothing to do with the Yuanluo Palace. However, due to the evil D world, Lu Ming naturally did not have a good impression of the 3-eyed race. Brat, I advise you, the heaven's favorite of the 3-eyed race was ready to show off. However, Lu Ming could not be bothered to waste his breath on the other party. He rushed over and swept his long spear across. You're looking for death. The heaven's favorite of the 3-eyed race roared in anger. His divine power condensed into a battle axe and he swung it at Lu Ming. Boom! The battle axe and the spear collided. A total of 9 layers of power burst out from the spear. The 9-layered strength was the manifestation of the 4th-layered incomplete divine skill of the spear technique. The terrifying power directly destroyed the battle axe condensed by the 3-eyed race's prodigy's divine power. Then, the long spear struck the 3-eyed race's prodigy's body. He screamed in pain and his body exploded, turning into energy and dissipating. In the next moment, he condensed on the stone platform and looked at Lu Ming in horror. He could not even withstand one move from Lu Ming and was killed in seconds. The 4th level. His incomplete divine skill has also reached the 4th level. Terrifying. Look at his badge. This person also comes from the chaotic astral river. In the chaotic astral river, there are actually 2 existences who have cultivated their incomplete divine skills to the 4th level. It seems that we've all underestimated the chaotic astral river. Lu Ming's abilities shocked many people. Even the important figures of the Qin Heaven 13 clans were a little shocked. Obviously, they had not expected that several good people would appear in succession in the chaotic astral river, which was beyond their expectations. Originally, they did not put the chaotic astral river in their eyes at all. They thought that there would not be any Heaven's Pride experts in the chaotic astral river. Therefore, in the past, when the 13 clans recruited disciples, they did not open up the chaotic astral river to them. This time, it was only because a certain important figure of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans had a sudden impulse and said that they would also open up the chaotic astral river. That's why they are recruiting disciples this time and also opening it up to the chaotic astral river. It seems that I'll have to go to the chaotic astral river more often in the future. Maybe you'll find some good seedlings. The experts of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans had different thoughts in their minds. The 4th level of an incomplete divine skill. It seems like it's not that difficult to successfully cultivate it. Outside, the ancestor of technique laughed. He deliberately raised his voice and transmitted it to Kong Ji and Siduhaunan's ears. Kong Ji and Siduhaunan coldly snorted. Their faces were gloomy. If I had known that this brat's talent was so high, I would have killed him long ago. Siduhaunan gritted his teeth and said, back then, when they were besieging the ancestor of technique on Qinjin Island on the northern Shang planet, it was Lu Ming who had suddenly appeared and given the ancestor of technique a level 7 middle-grade divine artifact, allowing him to turn the tide of the battle. If he had known that Lu Ming was so talented and had become Situ Feng's rival, he would have killed Lu Ming with all his might that day. But now it was too late. They were filled with regret. Don't worry, Feng, we'll definitely go further than him in the end. Siduhaunan gritted his teeth and said, after Lu Ming killed his opponent, he returned to the fighting ring. When many people looked at him, they were on guard. They obviously saw him as a threatening opponent. Interesting. It's only interesting to kill like this. When the tiger's teeth looked at Lu Ming, they revealed a hint of ferocity. The combat. 1. Tian continued. Pairs of people entered the arena and continued to fight. Most of them used their full strength as soon as they made their move, exploding with their peak combat strength. They understood that the people of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans were watching. The better their performance was, the more they would be valued. Even if they were defeated by their opponents, as long as their performance was good enough, they would still be valued. There were nearly 1,000 matches in the first round of the compet. 1. Tian, and it took half a month before all of them ended. Other than Dandan, 1,999 people had gone through 999 rounds of compet. 1. Tian. One person had directly advanced without a fight. In the second round, there were a total of 1,000 people. They continued to fight in pairs like before. After entering the second round, the compet. 1. Tian was undoubtedly more intense, because those who could enter the second round were all experts. One battle after another continued. Soon it was Situ Feng's turn. Situ Feng was indeed very strong. He had used an incomplete divine skill at the peak of the 4th stage and easily defeated his opponent. Not long after, it was Xian Yanjuan and Xian Yanking's turn. However, neither of them used their full strength. They pretended to fight with their opponent for dozens of moves before they defeated him. Chapter 2645 Fighting Situ Feng. Soon after Xianxia and Xianxia, it was Tong Shi-er's turn. After a fierce battle, Tong Shi-er also defeated her opponent. After that, Lu Ming made his move and naturally defeated his opponent easily. People like Hu Ye, Golden Sage, Yang Chong, Ling Hu Yi, and the others all easily killed their opponents without any suspense. After the second round ended, there were 500 people who advanced. Then, the 500 people began the third round. 500 enter the 250th place. Situ Feng still won this round, but Xianxia and Xianxia were defeated by their opponents and stopped here. Lu Ming, I'm cultivating a cultivation technique from my past life. It's not convenient for me to reveal too much. Back on the stone platform, Xianxia sent Lu Ming a voice transmission. Lu Ming nodded. He guessed that Xianxing's past life, or perhaps the current Xianxia, must have an extraordinary background. They didn't dare to reveal too much. Could it be that they had a great enemy? Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Xianxia wouldn't hide anything from him, but whenever something from his previous life was mentioned, Xianxia was always reluctant to say more. Was it because of the great enemy? The more Lu Ming thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Xianxia and Xianxin's past lives must have been extraordinary. This was because reincarnation was involved in the past and present life. Anyway, according to Lu Ming's knowledge, no one could reincarnate. Could A.G. King do that? In the heaven realm, the sacred ancestor Bloodheart had awakened from Lu Ming's bloodline, but it was not reincarnation. This was because the sacred ancestor Bloodheart was not dead at all. He had only used a drop of his bloodline to hide in the depths of Lu Ming's bloodline. Also, back then, Dandan did not reincarnate. Dandan was seriously injured and turned into an egg, and she was reborn. Reincarnation was a mystery. Xianxia and Xianxia reincarnated at the same time in their previous lives, so it was very likely that they had a great enemy. Furthermore, their greatest enemy was most likely the greatest enemy of the entire universe. Lu Ming thought of many things. He understood that Xianxia did not want to say more because he did not want to implicate him, Lu Shenhuang, and the rest. My strength is too low. Little Qing, one day, I will become a peak master in the primeval universe and you will no longer have to worry about me. Lu Ming secretly swore in his heart. After Xianxia and Xianxia lost, Tong Shi-er went on stage. After a difficult battle, Tong Shi-er barely won against her opponent. When it was Lu Ming's turn, he also defeated his opponent. Golden Sage, Hu Ye, and the others naturally had no suspense. After the third round ended, there were 250 people left. In the fighting ring, many people moved away from Yang Chong. Yang Chong's strength was simply too astonishing. Up until now, he had yet to unleash his full strength, and no one dared to fight him. Lu Ming, we finally met. Let's have a battle. Just what I wanted. Suddenly, the two figures charged at each other and started fighting. Fight me. Fight. The two of them were like a fuse, and people kept fighting each other. Lu Ming. Situ Feng fixed his eyes on Lu Ming and strode toward him, his cold, killing intent locked onto Lu Ming. They're going to fight. Lu Ming is going to fight Situ Feng. Outside, the eyes of many chaotic astral river experts brighten. They were all from the chaotic astral river. Naturally, they would pay more attention to Lu Ming and Situ Feng. They all wanted to see who was stronger between Lu Ming and Situ Feng. Feng will definitely be able to kill Lu Ming. Together with Yang Chong, will be the last two to enter the top 10. Situ Haonan roared in his heart as he was filled with antic. 1. Asian. Situ Feng's divine power surged and condensed into a combat sword. His entire person was like a dazzling sword light as he charged toward Lu Ming. Buzz. Lu Ming condensed a long spear with his ruler's power. He swept it out and it collided with Situ Feng's combat sword. With a violent boom, a figure retreated quickly. It was Situ Feng. Situ Feng has retreated. He is not Lu Ming's match. Some people of the chaotic astral river cried out in alarm. How could it be like this? Sidu Haonan and Kong Ji both roared in their hearts. Their faces were gloomy. Sidu Feng, this is your strength. What a disappointment. Kill him, Lu Ming said coldly. He took a step forward and charged at Sidu Feng at top speed. The long spear shook, and beams of dazzling spear light enveloped Sidu Feng. Sidu Feng exerted all his strength and executed the incomplete divine skill at the peak of the 4th level to the extreme. However, he was still suppressed by Lu Ming and was forced to retreat. Lu Ming, you're indeed quite powerful. I was planning to use it last, but now, you can die. Sidu Feng's cold voice was heard. As soon as he finished speaking, his speed suddenly increased and he appeared behind Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. He slashed down with his sword as fast as lightning. Chapter 2646 Shocking everyone. Sidu Feng's speed suddenly increased. He appeared behind Lu Ming and slashed out with his sword. The sharp and terrifying sword chi made Lu Ming's skin tighten. What incredible speed! It's an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He took a step forward and his body burst forward. Then he whipped his long spear backward. Thump! The spear gleam swept across Sidu Feng's sword aura, allowing Lu Ming to avoid Sidu Feng's attack by a hair's breadth. That is, it's an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Sidu Feng has actually cultivated an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Moreover, judging from its power, it has also reached the 4th level. Terrifying, truly terrifying. This Sidu Feng has actually cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills to the 4th level in just a few years. Many people were amazed. Everyone knew that Sidu Feng had been hiding his strength. What he cultivated was not an incomplete divine skill, but 2. A speed-type incomplete divine skill and an attack-type incomplete divine skill. The combination of the 2 would increase the power explosively. Even the eyes of the big shots of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans lit up. In just a few years, you've managed to cultivate 2 incomplete divine skills to the 4th level. This kind of comprehension ability is not bad, not bad. I didn't expect that there would be such a person in the chaotic astral river. A purple-robed elder from the indestructible sword sect, one of the 3 overlord forces, stroked his beard and revealed a satisfied expression. Ha Feng, has actually cultivated an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Ha, that's great. I knew he wouldn't lose. Sidu Haonan even laughed out loud in excitement. He was truly excited. Didn't he see that even the experts from the indestructible sword sect, one of the 3 overlord forces, were praising Sidu Feng? It was obvious that she had taken a fancy to Sidu Feng. There was a high chance that Sidu Feng would join the Eternal Sword sect, so it would be strange if he wasn't excited. Kill him. Kill that brat. Sidu Haonan roared in his heart. Lu Ming, you're still far from being comparable to me. I'm the number 1 heavenly pride in the chaotic astral river. Sidu Feng sneered and pounced toward Lu Ming. In an instant, 36 sword gleams were aimed at Lu Ming's vital points. The combination of a speed-type incomplete divine skill and an attack-type incomplete divine skill was indeed powerful, and it increased his combat power by a large margin. Buzz! Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and swept it out with the momentum of sweeping away thousands of troops. Bang! Bang! Sidu Feng's sword gleam shattered continuously, but it burst out again and slashed at Lu Ming. In the span of a breath, Sidu Feng had circled Lu Ming 37 times and slashed out 1,086 sword gleams. This was the terrifying combination of an incomplete speed-type divine skill and an incomplete attack-type divine skill. The combination of the 2 completely controlled Lu Ming within a certain range. He could only be beaten up passively. This was because one's speed was not as fast as the other party's. When one's attack was launched, the other party would have dodged it. However, it would be difficult for one to dodge the other party's attack. Let's see how many moves you can block. That Sidu Feng's cold voice sounded, and his attacks became more and more violent. Sidu Feng, is this your full strength? Then let's stop here. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke calmly. As soon as Lu Ming's voice fell, His figure soared into the sky like a roc spreading its wings. Then, Lu Ming swooped down at an amazing speed. He became one with his spear and stabbed at Situ Feng. Fast, it was extremely fast. Many people had the illusion that Lu Ming had transformed into a ROC and was hunting for prey. It's an incomplete speed-type divine skill, and it's also an incomplete level 4 speed-type divine skill. Someone exclaimed. Lu Ming had also mastered an incomplete speed-type divine skill. Situ Feng's eyes narrowed as he slashed his combat sword violently, clashing with Lu Ming's long spear. "Break!" Lu Ming said softly. He shook the long spear and in an instant, 11 layers of strength burst out. Incomplete divine skill, 5th level. At this moment, Lu Ming used the 4th stage of the ROC Wings technique and the 5th stage of the incomplete divine skill. Of course, Lu Ming concealed his divine power and did not use his full strength. Otherwise, he would not have needed to use so many moves. Even so, Situ Feng could not withstand it at all. The sword gleam collapsed and Lu Ming's spear pierced through Situ Feng's head, killing him instantly. In the next moment, Situ Feng appeared on the stone platform with a look of disbelief. The 5th level of an offensive divine skill. His offensive divine skill has reached the 5th level. My G.O.D. It's actually the 5th level. How is this possible? This is too scary. Many people could tell the level of the incomplete divine skill that Lu Ming used and exclaimed in disbelief. At this moment, everyone's eyes shifted from the others to Lu Ming. This was the first time they had seen someone cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the 5th level. One had to know that they only had 3 years to cultivate an incomplete divine skill to the 5th level and another incomplete speed-type divine skill to the 4th level. This level of talent and comprehension was too terrifying. Many of the young men looked at Lu Ming with grave expressions. Only a few of them could remain calm. So what if your comprehension is high? If your Shen power level is not good, you are still not my opponent. Hu Ya's eyes became even colder. How is this possible? How is this possible? At this moment, Situ Haonan was already in a daze. He rubbed his eyes hard and couldn't believe what he was seeing. Just now, when Situ Feng had revealed 2 divine skills, Situ Haonan had been extremely excited and had even laughed out loud, thinking that Situ Feng would definitely win. However, in the blink of an eye, Situ Feng was killed by Lu Ming. How can this kid's comprehension be so high? Kang Ji also gritted his teeth. With Lu Ming's high level of comprehension, he would definitely be valued by the Qin Heavenly 13 clans. If he was placed in an important position, the Yuan Luo Palace would be finished. In it. Kang Long roared in his heart. He felt that the heavens were unfair. Why did he not have such a high level of comprehension? Why did he have to let an ant in his heart have such a high level of comprehension? At this moment, the eyes of the experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans all lit up. A speed-type divine skill at the 4th level and an attack-type divine skill at the 5th level. Not bad, not bad. It's actually also from the chaotic astral river. This is really unexpected. He's a good seedling. The experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans spoke one after another. Even the experts of the 3 overlord forces had expressions of interest on their faces. To be able to receive such an evaluation from the experts of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, the other young heavens favorites were all green with envy. Lu Ming's combat strength is too strong. I'm afraid he's only second to Yang Chong, Huya, and the Golden Sage. That's right. Other than these few who control divine-grade divine power, no one can defeat them. I don't know about Ling Huye's background. He seems to be unfathomable. Many young men were discussing and placing Lu Ming in the 2nd tier. The 1st tier consisted of Yang Chong, Huya, and the Golden Sage. In the 2nd tier were Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, and those who had won 1st place in their respective battlefields in the 1st round. Chapter 2647 Top 10 After Lu Ming defeated Situ Feng, the number of people in the fighting ring had been reduced by more than half. There were only 12 people left out of the 25. Among the 12 people, a few of them were still fighting each other. There were a few people who looked at Lu Ming warily. In addition, Yang Chong was standing with his hands behind his back. He had not made a move yet, and the others were far away from him. "You're Lu Ming? You're pretty strong, so why don't we join forces and get rid of the others?" At this moment, Lu Ming heard a voice. It was Yang Chong's voice. It was obvious that Yang Chong had acknowledged Lu Ming's abilities. He took the initiative to look for him to work together and eliminate the others. This way, the two of them could enter the top 10. All right. Lu Ming agreed immediately. Upon hearing Lu Ming's reply, a cold glint flashed across Yang Chong's eyes. He stepped forward and walked toward a young man. The young man was shocked and quickly retreated. However, Yang Chong's speed suddenly increased. He appeared in front of the young man and struck out with his palm. Boom. This palm was shockingly powerful. Although the young man tried his best to block it, his body exploded when Yang Chong's palm landed. He had no way to resist. Then, his body condensed on the stone platform, his face pale. "It's too terrifying. Is that the power of the sacred grade divine power?" This young man still had a fearful expression on his face. His divine power was a king-grade divine power, and it was a rather powerful king-grade divine power. However, it could not withstand a single blow from Yang Chong's sync-grade divine power. It was crushed and crushed like tofu. Speed-type incomplete divine skill, peak of the 4th level. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. He could tell that Yang Chong had also cultivated an incomplete speed-type divine skill that had reached the peak of the 4th level, which was even stronger than Situ Feng's speed-type divine skill. "It's my turn." Buzz. Lu Ming's figure was like a ROC as he pounced on a youth, his long spear pressing down like a mountain. The young man could not withstand the attack of Lu Ming's 5th incomplete divine skill at all. His body was shattered by the impact. Other than Lu Ming and Yang Chong, there were 8 other people in the fighting ring. Originally, there were a few people fighting, but at this time, they couldn't help but stop. "The two of them want to join forces to kill us. Let's join forces." "That's right. Let's work together. We're all at the 1st level of the Void D realm. No matter how strong they are, we don't need to fear them if we work together. Let's join hands." On the battle mountain, 8 young men gathered together. "So what if we join forces? Get down." Yang Chong was incomparably domineering, his divine power howling as he charged at them. Lu Ming charged at the 8 people from the other side. Boom, boom. Yang Chong's full strength was indeed astonishing. And NBSP, the divine power, was a peak stage 4 incomplete offensive divine skill, and a peak stage 4 speed divine skill. When combined, it was like a violent tide. Lu Ming did not unleash his divine power to the maximum. He cast the soul transformation technique and concealed the level of his divine power to king grade. Moreover, his cultivation was only at the demi-G. D level, which was slightly weaker. However, Lu Ming's incomplete divine skill had reached the 5th level, and its power was extremely shocking. Each spear strike contained 11 bursts of power, each stronger than the last. Although the 8 young men had joined forces, they were no match for Lu Ming and Yang Chong. They were forced to retreat. The battle has been decided. Lu Ming and Yang Chong are indeed the strongest in this round. Many people shook their heads. There was no longer any suspense in this battle. Not long after, the 8 young men were blasted off the fighting ring by Lu Ming and Yang Chong, ending the battle. Lu Ming and Yang Chong were the last to stay behind. They had already secured a spot in the top 10. Brother Fa Ming, congratulations, congratulations. Seeing that Lu Ming had entered the top 10, some of the leaders of the forces in the chaotic astral river congratulated the ancestor of technique one after another, their faces full of flattery. Some of them had just been fawning over Sidu Haonan, but in the blink of an eye, they had gone to fawn over the ancestor of technique. Kong Ji and Sidu Haonan's faces were extremely ugly. Lu Ming had made it into the top 10. It was almost certain that he would join the 3 overlord forces. Even if Situ Feng could join the 3 overlord forces, he would not be as highly regarded as Lu Ming. How could he compete with Lu Ming? The two of them were already panicking. Lu Ming and Yang Chong locked onto the top 10 and retreated from the fighting ring. Then, the next group of 25 people went on stage. This time, Huya was the center of attention, as well as the person who had obtained first place in a certain battle zone in the first round of the assessment. On the surface, these two people were the strongest. The result wasn't too surprising. After a battle, Huya and that heaven's favorite obtained a place in the top 10. Then the third group. In this group, the Golden Sage won without a doubt. In addition, there was also an extremely beautiful woman. Unexpectedly, she defeated someone who was ranked first in a certain battle region in the first round and obtained the top 10. The fourth group, Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi's display of terrifying combat strength shocked everyone. The Shen power that Ling Huyi controlled was just normal Shen power. This was the only one among the existing people. However, the incomplete divine skill that he had just revealed was shocking. It was an incomplete speed-type divine skill at the peak of the 5th level. It was an attack-type incomplete divine skill, and it was also at the peak of the 5th level. The combination of the two allowed him to win directly, defeating strong enemies one after another. Two incomplete divine skills have both reached the peak of the 5th level. This level of comprehension is simply too shocking. What a terrifying comprehension! Everyone was amazed. The eyes of the experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans also lit up. To a large sect like the Qin Heavenly 13 clans, comprehension was extremely important. But what did it matter? The Qin Heavenly 13 clans had divine techniques and wondrous arts. As long as one cultivated the divine techniques and wondrous arts to an extremely high level, one's divine power level would naturally rise. As long as one's comprehension ability was heaven-defying enough, there were even divine techniques in the 3 overlord forces that could even raise divine-grade divine power. The experts of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans were already thinking about how to invite Ling Huyi. Of course, Lu Ming, Yang Chong, the Golden Sage, and Huya were all invited. The 5th group's compet. 1. Tian also ended very quickly. The top 10 were born. However, the compet. 1. Tian had to continue. Since they were going to compete, they naturally had to determine who was stronger. Furthermore, the experts from the Qin Heaven 13 clans also wanted to see if there were any people who were still holding back. Next, the 10 of you will fight in pairs. The odds are random. Let's begin, the middle-aged man announced. As soon as he finished speaking, 2 people's bodies started to shine. One of them was Ling Huyi, and the other was the person who had won first place in the first round. The 2 of them didn't say much and directly attacked. Ling Huyi's opponent was also very strong. He had also cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills, both of which had reached the peak of stage 4. The divine power he controlled was a terrifying king-grade divine power. The 2 of them exchanged hundreds of moves, and Ling Huyi was the one who won in the end. Chapter 2648 Frightening Comprehension. It was Lu Ming's turn for the second round. Lu Ming's opponent was also someone who ranked first in a certain region in the first round. This person also controlled a terrifying king-grade divine power. He also had 2 incomplete divine skills that had been cultivated to the peak of stage 4. However, one of the incomplete divine skills that Lu Ming had displayed had reached the 5th level. Naturally, the other party was no match for him. After a fierce battle, he was blasted off the fighting ring by Lu Ming. Following that, Golden Saint, Huya, and Yang Chong all defeated their opponents one by one. It seemed that everything could be arranged. Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, Yang Chong, Huya, and the Golden Sage did not meet. However, the remaining 5 would eventually clash. The peak confrontation is coming. Everyone revealed a look of antic. 1. Asian. Next, Lu Ming, Ling Huyi, Yang Chong, Golden Sage, and Huya were all going to fight. This was going to be a peak battle. Who do you think is the strongest among the 5 of them? I think the top 3 should be Golden Sage, Huya, and Yang Chong. Lu Ming is slightly stronger than Ling Huyi, And Ling Huyi is the weakest. I think so too. Although Golden Sage Huya and Yang Chang's comprehension of incomplete divine skills is not as good as Lu Ming and Ling Huyes, they have mastered divine-grade divine power and are extremely powerful. That's right. It's hard to say who's stronger in the future, but for now Lu Ming and Ling Huyi are at a disadvantage in terms of divine power. I'm afraid they're not Yang Chong, Golden Sage, and Huyas match. Many people were discussing who would win. Most of them believed that Golden Saint, Huya, and Yang Chong would be the top three. Lu Ming and Ling Huyi found it difficult to fight against the three of them. It's hard to say. What if Ling Huyi and Lu Ming are still holding back? Suddenly, a voice was heard. You're holding back? You're saying that the incomplete divine skill they comprehended is even more advanced? Not bad. That shouldn't be possible. It's already shocking enough to comprehend an incomplete divine skill to this extent in just 3 years. There aren't many in history who can do this. That's right. I think they've already done their best. Most of the people shook their heads in objection. They felt that Lu Ming and Ling Huyi would not hold back. Alright, let's begin the final battle. There are 5 of you left, so I'll randomly pick one person to pass. The other 4 will fight each other. The middle-aged man in the sky spoke again. Then he waved his hand and the jade talisman above the Golden Saint's head lit up. For this round, the Golden Sage will be free to fight. The other 4 can choose their opponents at will. The middle-aged man said. The compet. 1. Tian. This time around was merely a test for the Qin Heaven 13 clans to recruit disciples. With the experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans here to observe, there was no need to be so fair. The rules were more casual. As long as they displayed their strength, the experts of the Qin Heaven 13 clans would be able to see who was stronger and who had more potential. I'll go first. Yang Chong was the first to leap onto the fighting ring. His gaze swept across Lu Ming, Huya, and Ling Huyi before finally landing on Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi, you have a high level of comprehension, but your divine power is too weak. Fight with me. I want to see if you still have any hidden strength. Yang Chong said. As you wish. Ling Huyi stepped into the air and a long sword appeared in his hand. Boom. Without saying anything else, Yang Chong immediately attacked. His entire body was suffused with scarlet divine power, making him look like AGOD of the sun. And NBSP, the violent divine power, combined with the peak 4th level speed type divine skill, made his speed reach an extreme. He crossed the battle stage in an instant and approached Ling Huyi. The violent palm force poured down on Ling Huyi like an avalanche. The incomplete offensive divine skill that Yang Chong had chosen complemented his divine power. It was scorching hot and powerful. Buzz. The sound of a sword rang out, and sword chi soared into the sky. Ling Huyi slashed out more than 10 times in a row, and each sword light cut into Yang Chong's palm energy. However, the sword lights trembled and were crushed by Yang Chong's palm energy. The terrifying palm energy suddenly burst out and rushed toward Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi's body was as light as a feather. He drifted backward until he reached the edge of the fighting ring to avoid Yang Chong's palm energy. Ling Huyi is no match for him. Someone exclaimed. Ling Huyi's Shen power is too low. Normal Shen power, no matter how strong it is or how powerful it is, can't compete with sacred grade Shen power. Indeed, even if his incomplete Shen technique is more profound, it is not much, so it is still useless. I told you, he should be the weakest among the 5. Many people were discussing. Ling Huyi, if that's all you've got, then let's end this. Let's go. Yang Chong said as he rushed towards Ling Huyi like a fiery meteor. A fiery red palm print, 10 meters in length and width, was sent towards Ling Huyi. However, Ling Huyi's face was still calm, and he didn't panic at all. He raised the long sword in his hand, and the long sword began to vibrate at a strange frequency. Then, Ling Huyi suddenly slashed out with his sword. A beam of sword light burst out and collided with Yang Chong's palm energy. Boom! A terrifying explosion reverberated in all directions. Yang Chong's palm force was actually blocked and kept shaking. What was even more shocking was that everyone saw Yang Chong's palm energy being cut apart by Ling Huye's sword light. Bang! In the end, Yang Chong's palm energy was split into two, and Ling Huye's sword light also dispersed. It was blocked. Everyone was shocked. Ling Huye had actually blocked Yang Chong's palm energy. And NBSP Yang Chong's divine power was a sacred divine power, and a palm that combined it with an incomplete fourth-level divine skill was shockingly powerful, but Ling Huye had used ordinary divine power to block Yang Chong's palm. How was this possible? The sixth level. This is the sixth level of an incomplete divine skill. Someone shouted in disbelief. My G. Oh, D. Ling Huye has already cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the sixth level. How is this possible? Many people exclaimed in disbelief. One had to know that Yang Chong, the Golden Saint, and Huye, who were all geniuses with divine-grade divine power, had only cultivated the incomplete divine skill to the peak of the fourth level. It had only been 3 short years since he had reached the sixth level. This level of comprehension was too terrifying. The sixth level. The eyes of the experts from the Qin Heavenly 13 clans all lit up as they stared at Ling Huye. This kind of terrifying comprehension ability, they were determined to have it. I didn't expect that you've already cultivated an offensive incomplete divine skill to the sixth level. Yang Chong's eyes were also solemn. The incomplete sixth level of the divine skill could already be a direct match for him. However, you will still lose. And invest. Yang Chong roared, his divine power bursting forth as his burly body charged at Ling Huye. His palms continued to strike out at Ling Huye. Chapter 2649. Killing Huye. Yang Chong had pushed his strength to the extreme. His palm force whistled and swept across the entire fighting ring. However, just as his palm was about to land, he lost track of Ling Huye. Ling Huye had been standing at the edge of the fighting ring, but he suddenly appeared behind Yang Chong. What an amazing speed! Many people were shocked again. Bush. Ling Huye's long sword whistled as it slashed toward Yang Chong. Yang Chong's pupils rapidly contracted, and his divine power surged as he set up layers of defense around his body. At the same time, he suddenly turned around and waved his palm. The power of his palm collided with Ling Huye's sword light, and then he took the opportunity to attack Ling Huye. However, Ling Huye's body moved again, moving away from Yang Chong and appearing on his left. So fast, so fast. This speed is too shocking. The sixth level. The sixth level of a speed-type divine skill. Someone exclaimed again. What? Everyone was shocked. Speed-type divine skill, level 6. How is it possible that Ling Huye had also cultivated his speed-type skill to the 6th level? In just 3 years, he had cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills to the 6th level. This level of comprehension could no longer be described as abnormal. He's managed to train 2 divine-level experts to the 6th tier. Impressive! Even Lu Ming could not help but sigh. He had never imagined that there would be someone like him who had managed to cultivate 2 incomplete divine skills to the 6th level in just 3 years. There were indeed countless prodigies in the primeval universe, and the heaven realm and the primordial realm couldn't compare. In the heaven realm and the primordial realm, he was definitely the first person in all of history. No one could compare to him. Even the ancestor of technique, who had created the system of laws, was far from his level. His talent was also unparalleled. However, after coming to the desolate universe, he had met someone who could compare with him. At least, in terms of comprehension, Ling Huye was not weaker than him. And this was only after the Qin Heavenly 13 clans recruited disciples once every 1,000 years. How many abnormal geniuses had been born in these countless years? Interesting, this is what makes it interesting. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he was looking forward to it. This was the world he had been looking forward to. In the heaven realm and the primordial realm, he had long been unrivaled among his peers. However, in the primal universe, he was still nothing. However, it was only with an opponent that one would have passion and motivation. What a good fellow! The experts of the Qin Heavenly 13 clans also heaved a long sigh of relief. Their eyes were filled with greed. With such perverted comprehension, if he cultivated the wondrous techniques of their sect, he would definitely be able to rise in time. What kind of freak is this? At this moment, Yang Chong himself was also extremely shocked. He tried his best, but he couldn't hit Ling Huyi. Ling Huyi's speed was much faster than his, and with the addition of the 6th level of the offensive divine skill, the power was shocking. The two of them exchanged blows continuously, but Yang Chong was at a disadvantage. The main thing was that he couldn't hit Ling Huyi, but Ling Huyi could hit him. Just like that, the two of them exchanged hundreds of moves. In the end, Ling Huyi won and defeated Yang Chong. Ling Huyi won. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this. I was wrong. It seems that Ling Huyi has a chance to win first place. However, Golden Sage is not like Yang Chong. Golden Sage's defense is amazing, and he can restrain Ling Huyi. That's right. It seems like Lu Ming is the weakest among the 5 of them. Indeed. Ling Huyi's defeat of Yang Chong was indeed beyond everyone's expectations. Ling Huyi's face was calm as he retreated from the fighting ring. Boom. As soon as Ling Huyi left, a figure rushed down the fighting ring and stomped heavily on it, making the fighting ring roar. Lu Ming, get down here and die. Huyi's eyes were like lightning as he swept his gaze over Lu Ming, his voice reverberating throughout the entire area. Lu Ming took a step forward and landed on the fighting ring, facing Huyi. I've said it before, if you touch me, I'll make you die an ugly death. Huyi's voice was cold, and he revealed a sinister expression. Previously, the other members of your tiger clan also said the same thing to me. In the end, when I made my move, I realized that they were all trash. In my opinion, you are no exception. Lu Ming said indifferently, this kid, you're looking for death. He doesn't know what's good for him. If my cultivation wasn't suppressed, I could have killed him with a flip of my hand. Upon hearing Lu Ming's words, some of the young men from the Tiger clan were so angry that they almost vomited blood. They looked at Lu Ming with killing intent. This Lu Ming is really arrogant. From what he's saying, he's implying that Huyi is trash. Indeed, he's crazy enough. However, if he talks too fast, I'm afraid he'll have to face a storm of attacks from Huyi. Some people were discussing. As expected, a cold killing intent burst out from Huyi's eyes. He let out a long howl like a giant tiger. The muscles on his body swelled up, and a terrifying divine-grade power burst forth. He stomped his feet and charged at Lu Ming. Chila. Huyi's fingers turned into claws and he struck out with both claws, trying to tear Lu Ming apart. Lu Ming used his ruler's divine power to form a long spear. He thrust it out several times and stabbed Huyi's claws. The two of them collided more than a dozen times in a row, and their figures retreated at the same time. Huyi had cultivated 2 incomplete divine skills, 1 speed type and 1 attack type, both at the peak of the 4th stage. Together with his saint-grade divine power, his combat strength was not weaker than Yang Chong's. The tiger's teeth roared and it launched a storm of attacks at Lu Ming at an astonishing speed. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming with his speed and then tear Lu Ming apart with his violent attacks. Lu Ming kept waving his spear to block, but he was at a slight disadvantage. After all, Lu Ming's current divine power was only displaying the power of a king-grade divine power. Lu Ming is indeed no match for Huyi. That's right. Lu Ming's divine power is king-grade divine power, and it's an extremely powerful king-grade divine power. Moreover, his offensive divine skill has been cultivated to the peak of the 5th stage. In terms of offensive power, he's not much weaker than Huyi. However, his speed-type divine skill is the same as Huyi at the peak of the 4th stage. However, his divine power is not as strong as Huyi's, so he's destined to be suppressed. Not bad. In terms of overall ability, Lu Ming is still weaker. Some people were watching while discussing. Competing in speed? Then I'll let you experience what speed is. At this moment, Lu Ming's cold voice was heard. In the next moment, Lu Ming's figure burst into the sky like a golden-winged ROC, soaring through the 9 heavens. Buzz, buzz. Lu Ming's figure and spear shadows filled the sky. At this moment, countless spear shadows pierced towards Huya from all directions. This speed, Huya's heart trembled as he tried his best to block it. However, he realized that there were too many spear shadows coming from all directions. It was impossible to block all of them. Block it, die. Huya roared as he used his divine power to form a divine power barrier around his body. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Ming's spear's gleam continuously stabbed Huya's divine power protective shield. The rain shield shook wildly. After 100 consecutive strikes, the protective shield exploded with a loud bang. Huya let out a blood-curdling screech as his body was pierced through by Lu Ming's spear, and he died on the spot. Chapter 2650. Final battle. After Huya was killed, he condensed on a stone platform. His face was extremely gloomy as he stared at Lu Ming. His killing intent was even stronger than before. One said, "You're the same as the tiger men from before. You're all trash." Lu Ming cast a disdainful look at Huya. He gritted his teeth and glared at Lu Ming, his killing intent growing stronger. "Lu Ming, I'm going to kill you. My cultivation is suppressed here. Otherwise, one could kill you with one finger." Huya roared in his heart. Indeed, Lu Ming only had a demigod cultivation base. In his eyes, Lu Ming was just an ant. As a heaven's favorite of the Tigerman tribe that only appeared once every 100,000 years, his actual cultivation had already reached the 9th level of the Void God realm and was not far from the True God realm. With such a cultivation level and his divine-grade divine power, he would not be afraid even if he encountered a true God level, let alone Lu Ming. It was just that he couldn't display it here. Huya, he actually lost? And he lost so easily? At this moment, everyone watching the battle was a little confused. They only saw Lu Ming's speed suddenly increase. In the blink of an eye, he had launched many attacks and defeated Huya in one fell swoop. That speed is too shocking. Lu Ming was actually hiding his strength. What level is that incomplete speed-type divine skill? One feel like I've grown a lot. Is the 5th level really that powerful? Don't tell me it's the 6th level? Towards the end, many people felt that it was unbelievable. An incomplete speed-type divine skill at the 6th level. Good. At this moment, an expert from the Unique Devil Academy spoke, and his eyes revealed a look of surprise. Heavens, it really is the 6th level. Lu Ming actually has an incomplete divine skill and has comprehended it to the 6th level. His level of comprehension is not much worse than Ling Huye's. In that case, Lu Ming's abilities are above Ling Huye's. Doesn't that mean that he's aiming for the first place? It's hard to say. Although he's fast, his attack power is similar to Huye's. I'm afraid he can't break through the defense of a golden saint. This is also shocking enough. There are too many heaven's favorites with terrifying comprehension ability this time. Moreover, he's from the chaotic astral river. Many people were shocked. This level of comprehension, the people of the chaotic astral river were all dumbfounded. The pavilion master of Yunfeng Pavilion was ecstatic. The stronger the genius of the chaotic astral river is, the more rewards he will receive. Only Kong Ji and Sidu Haonan's faces were extremely ugly. There was killing intent in their eyes, but also fear. Haha. The ancestor of technique was naturally ecstatic. On the stone platform, Ling Huyi and the Golden Sage looked at Lu Ming with a serious expression. Lu Ming retreated to the fighting ring. Now, only Lu Ming, Ling Huyi and the Golden Sage were left. There's only the 3 of you left. The 13 clans have already seen your strength, so there's no need for you to continue fighting. However, one believe many of you are curious about who is stronger. How about this? The 3 of you will take turns to fight and see who is stronger. Golden Sage, Ling Huyi, you 2 will fight first. The burly man in the air said. The Golden Saint and Ling Huyi nodded and appeared on the fighting ring. Come on. Golden Sage's eyes glowed with golden light. Boom. His divine power was boiling. At the same time, his muscles bulged. His body changed color and had a metallic luster. The most shocking thing was that a layer of armor appeared on the surface of his body. This armor was formed by combining divine power with a defensive divine skill. It was like an armor made of diamond and gave off an indestructible feeling. The Vajra race specialized in defense. Their defensive power was even stronger than the Turtle Shell clan. Kill! The Golden Sage roared and rushed towards Ling Huyi. Buzz! Buzz! Ling Huyi moved his body and easily dodged the attack of the Golden Sage. Ling Huyi's incomplete speed-type divine skill had been cultivated to the 6th level, while the Golden Sage had not cultivated any speed-type divine skill at all. In terms of speed, he was much slower than Ling Huyi and could not attack him at all. The Golden Sage stopped his attack after his first attack failed. The Golden Sage did not attack, but Ling Huyi made his move. His body was like lightning as he charged towards the Golden Sage. In an instant, hundreds of sword lights stabbed towards the Golden Sage. Ding, 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 ding. The sound of collision was heard. In an instant, Ling Huyi had sent hundreds of sword lights to stab the Golden Saint. However, they could not break through the Golden Saint's defense and were completely blocked. Ling Huyi, this is not enough. Not enough. The Golden Sage grinned. Bush, bush. Ling Huyi didn't say a word and continued to attack. Dense sword light appeared in the sky and kept stabbing towards the Golden Saint. However, it was still useless. The sword light stopped and the Golden Sage was unharmed. Ha, Ling Huyi, you're just scratching my itch? The Golden Sage laughed. Ling Huyi retreated with a gloomy face and stopped attacking. It seems like this match will end in a draw, that's right. Ling Huyi's comprehension is unparalleled. It's a pity that his divine power is a little weak. If he had king-grade divine power, he might be able to break through the defense of a Golden Saint. That's right. Based on the current situation, the battle between Lu Ming and the Golden Sage should be a draw. It's difficult to determine a winner between the three of them. Indeed. Many people sighed. It wasn't that Ling Huyi wasn't strong, but that the Golden Saint's defensive power was too abnormal. Moreover, what he cultivated was also an incomplete defensive divine skill. However, speed was a Golden Saint's weakness. He could not catch up with Ling Huyi, so this battle could only be considered a draw. Alright, this round is a draw. Take a break and move on to the next round, the holy battle of the Golden Saints, Lu Ming. The middle-aged man announced. Ling Huyi left, and the Golden Saint sat cross-legged on the battle platform, absorbing the energy of the divine crystals to recover his divine power. Not long after, the Golden Sage stood up. Alright, I'm done. The Golden Sage said. Lu Ming, you can go up. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and stepped into the fighting ring. Lu Ming, you can't break through my defense. At most, this battle will be a draw. The Golden Sage said. How would you know if you didn't fight? Lu Ming smiled faintly. If you don't want to give up, then let's fight. Die. Golden Saint coldly shouted as he unleashed his divine power and used a defensive divine skill, creating a diamond-like armor that covered his body. Buzz. Lu Ming rushed out and swept his spear across. Break. The Golden Sage threw a punch at Lu Ming's long spear. However, Lu Ming's figure moved and appeared behind the Golden Sage. He struck the Golden Sage's body with his spear and 11 levels of power burst out in an instant. Boom, boom. The Golden Sage's body trembled a few times, but he managed to withstand it. Bush, bush. Lu Ming's strength changed and he continued to stab. The tip of the spear hit the Golden Sage's body and made a tinkling sound. However, it was still blocked by the Golden Sage and it was difficult to break through. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.